Chapter 508 Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaochan One in a secluded cave. Meng Xiaochan, dressed in a white gown, showed an exhausted appearance on her delicate and beautiful face. She looked towards her master with a face full of worry. At this moment, Nangong Mili's face was incomparably pale, void of any color, her beautiful eyes tightly closed, lying unconscious. Yet even in her comatose state, she exuded a seductive charm that captured the soul. One glance at her was enough to stir the imagination and arouse desire, tempting one to commit a sin. There was an impulse to conquer her, to press her beneath one's body. Meng Xiaochan extended her wrist, checked her master's condition, then took out an elixir medicine and fed it into Nangong Mili's lips. She then used mana to help her refine the power of the medicine. At this moment, Nangong Mili's long and thick eyelashes fluttered slightly, and a delicate, crisp moan came from her mouth. "Master, you're awake." Upon hearing this soft moan, Meng Xiaochan was jolted with excitement, her face immediately revealing a look of joy. "Xiaochan." Nangong Mili's narrow phoenix eyes, like unfolding peach blossoms, slowly opened, her hazy pupils brimming with a bewitching power that made one's soul tremble. "Master, how are you feeling?" Meng Xiaochan asked, full of concern. "Not too good." Nangong Mili weakly propped up her graceful body, gently shook her head and asked, "Xiaochan, how long have I been unconscious?" Her figure was enchantingly graceful and voluptuous. Her chest was high and firm, making her clothes bulge prominently. Her slender waist could be grasped in a handful, and as her round and firm buttocks pressed against the ground, they looked quite fleshy. Below the black gauze skirt, a pair of pale, bloodless, delicate and enticing jade-like feet were exposed. "Master, you've been unconscious for over 2 months." Meng Xiaochan spoke, her voice somewhat downcast. That day, although they had taken the chance to escape from Jiuxiao Immortal City, they were still faced with the pursuit of the Heavenly Sword sect. Under the pursuit of Yun Jianfeng, Nangong Mili could only use a secret technique to carry Meng Xiaochan out of danger. But the aftereffects of this secret technique were quite severe, causing her to fall into a deep unconsciousness, from which she had only now awoken. Over 2 months. Upon hearing this, Nangong Mili's eyebrows slightly knitted together, and her enchantingly beautiful face showed a hint of seriousness. She took out a token with a heavenly spider pattern from her storage ring. After a moment, her serious face turned somewhat unsightly. "Master, what's wrong?" Meng Xiaochan looked at her master with pursed lips. She knew too well that on regular days, her master always presented a carefree and unrestrained demeanor. It was only in the face of serious, important matters that such an expression would appear. "My dear daughter, we are in danger now," Nangong Mili chuckled lightly, displaying a feigned ease. "In danger?" Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaocan's heart sank, vaguely guessing what was going on. She spoke up, "Master, have the sect hierarch and the Heavenly Corpse sect master been defeated?" She and her master Nangong Mili had come to Jiang Country Cultivation realm mainly to prepare for Jin Kingdom's invasion. On one hand, they were to contact and integrate the spies buried within Jiang Country. On the other hand, they were to wait for the Five Poisons cult leader and Heavenly Corpse sect master to repel Xianxia true monarch Li Duanquan. As soon as the Jin Kingdom's army invaded, they planned to disrupt the rear of Jiang Country Cultivation realm in conjunction with the 3 great demon sects of Jin Kingdom. Yet now, 3 months had passed since they had been pursued and nearly killed by the Heavenly Sword sect. No one from the Five Poisons cult of Jin Kingdom had contacted them, no one had come to their rescue. Seeing the expression on her own master now led her to surmise that the Five Poisons cult leader and Heavenly Corpse sect master had likely been defeated by Xianxia true monarch Li Duanquan. That's correct. According to the information, the sect hierarch and Heavenly Corpse sect master seem to have lost the battle. In light of that, Jiang Country Cultivation realm is probably under a full lockdown right now, and it's going to be difficult for us to leave Jiang Country and return to Jin Kingdom. Furthermore, the people from Heavenly Sword sect must still be hunting us down, Nangong Mili admitted without hiding anything, her voice soft and powerless. As she spoke, she tried to stand up. but because she was too weak, she stumbled halfway through. Master! Seeing this, Meng Xiaochan quickly reached out and embraced her master's perfect delicate body. Phew, after casting the sacrificial goo insect technique, with my current condition, it's going to take 3 to 5 years to recover from these side effects, Nangong Meili said, shaking her head slightly. While speaking, she gazed at Meng Xiaochan, who wore a heavy expression, and wrapped her pale jade arms around her, hanging off her as if for support. Putting on a pitiful look that inspired sympathy, she said, "My good daughter, in the coming days, your mother can only rely on you to take care of her." Master! Meng Xiaochan never expected her master to still make jokes and tease her at such a time. Hee hee. Nangong Meili, tall and graceful, kissed Meng Xiaochan gently on her delicate and fair face. Xiaochan, there's no use worrying now, given the way things are. It reminds me of the days when I, with my own master, your great-grandmother, faced a similar ordeal. But back then, I was even younger than you are now, having just broken through foundation establishment. Nangong Meili's beautiful eyes filled with nostalgia as she spoke softly. She had taken Meng Xiaochan as her personal disciple and treated her so well, partly because Meng Xiaochan was her master's descendant. Another part was seeing her own past self in Meng Xiaochan, remembering how she had been taught and cared for like a daughter by her own master. This made her develop a mischievous streak whenever she saw Meng Xiaochan, unable to resist teasing her. Chapter 509. Nangong Meili and Meng Xiaochan pursed her lips and said nothing. This was still the first time she had heard about these things. After all, she didn't know much about that late great-grandmother. So, let's just settle down in this mountain range for the next 3 or 5 years until the heat dies down. Once your teacher recovers some mana, well, consider our next move, said Nangong Meili as she pinched her disciple's delicate cheek. Yes, master, Meng Xiaochan replied. Moved by her master's words and actions, Meng Xiaochan's previously taught mental spirit finally eased a little. These past 3 months, she had been utterly wound up, terrified that the people from Heavenly Sword sect would discover their whereabouts. After all, with her strength, thinking she could escape pursuit while escorting Nangong Meili was nothing but wishful thinking. Although Nangong Meili was extremely weak now, at least she gave Meng Xiaochan a backbone and a sense of calm. Just then, buzz buzz buzz, a faint sound reached Meng Xiaochan's ears. Her exquisite face immediately took on a grave expression, and she gestured to her master. Then, with both hands forming seals, she concealed the entire cave's aura. Surviving in this mountain range for so long without being attacked by demon beasts or discovered by Heavenly Sword sect naturally involved her methods of hiding goo bugs in the surroundings. Any external disturbance would quickly alert her, allowing her to seal and isolate the cave's aura. Meanwhile, above the mountain range, a figure swept across the sky. There was definitely a whiff of demonic energy here just now, a stunning woman in her 30s muttered to herself. She wore a gray-white dress, her face was elegant, her skin was white as snow, her eyebrows were like green feathers, and her black hair was done up in a simple updo. As the breeze blew, her clothes fluttered, and she exuded a mature and sharp charm. Clang! Looking at the mountain range, the beautiful woman's hands formed seals, and a clear sound of sword cries emanated from within her. A blue magical sword flew out of her body. After spinning in the air and forming a sword flower, the sword erupted in a dazzling and blinding azure radiance. Then, the radiance surged as the magical sword seemed to merge with the world itself, making every wisp of air contain a trace of sword chi. After a long while, whoosh whoosh whoosh, streams of sword chi shot out, slaying several goo bugs. Goo bugs, these are demonic goo bugs, indicating that there are demonic path cultivators hiding here, the beautiful woman exclaimed as she snapped open her sharp eyes, scanning over the mountain peaks. Her river sword art had allowed the sword chi to blend into the natural world, detecting something amiss: a number of goo bugs in this area. Goo bugs were a very niche aspect of the cultivation arts. Very few people in Jiang country cultivated goo bugs. But one of the 3 major demonic sects in Jin Kingdom, the 5 Poisons cult, was famous for using goo poison. Therefore, she immediately surmised that cultivators from the Five Poisons cult were hiding in these mountains. One of the three core formation fugitives is the heavenly spider envoy of the Five Poisons cult, Nangong Mili. This person's life-bound heavenly spider was slain by Senior Brother Tianjue, and earlier, under Senior Brother Tianjue's pursuit, she used the life-burning secret technique to barely escape. So even if she is Nangong Mili, she is definitely no match for me. The woman thought to herself, her eyes as sharp as her sword. The next moment, the azure magical sword above her head violently slashed forward. A swath of sword light, immense like the rolling Milky Way, roared towards a mountain peak with tremendous force. Boom! Instantly, the entire mountain peak was leveled by this one strike. After flattening the peak and detecting no abnormalities, she continued to slash her sword towards another mountain. Boom! 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 One mountain peak after another was being leveled, causing the whole range to rumble as numerous birds, fierce beasts, and demon beasts trembled with fear at the disturbance. Master! In a certain cave, Meng Xiaochan, hearing such commotion, looked towards her own master. As soon as the goo bugs were killed, she immediately realized that someone from the Heavenly Sword sect must have arrived and noticed something was amiss. Previously, disciples of Heavenly Sword sect patrolled the area and passed by here, but none had taken notice of her. Meng Xiaochan surmised that it must have been an incidental leak of Nangong Mili's aura upon awakening that had alerted someone. After all, during such a tense time, it was common for the Heavenly Sword sect to cleanse the demonic path and craft some magic artifacts and treasures that could sense demonic energy. This is a third-rank top-tier teleportation talisman, Xiaochan. If you activate this talisman, you can escape from here, Nangong Mili said as she took out a talisman from her storage ring and handed it to Meng Xiaochan. Despite being weak and powerless, she could still muster a bit of mana. Master, I don't have the strength to fully activate a talisman of this level, and what about you? Meng Xiaochan asked with concern, looking at Nangong Mili. Of course, I will go with you. Do you really think I would abandon your master to escape alone? Boo-hoo, I never thought you would actually leave your master behind and flee on your own, boo-hoo. The moment Nangong Mili heard this, she immediately put on a pitiful expression, looking quite forlorn. Master, Meng Xiaochan said helplessly. At a time like this, her master was still acting like a drama queen. Silly girl, you just need to activate the teleportation talisman. Leave the rest to your master. Though afterward, your master will probably fall into unconsciousness again. When that happens, remember to seal your master's mana, or else once your master wakes up, there might be a leak of energy, and we could once again be detected by the people from Heavenly Sword sect, Nangong Mili instructed. She had a rough guess that the person from Heavenly Sword sect who hurried over likely did so because some treasure sensed her energy. Chapter 5:10. Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaochan. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence? As she spoke, her jade arms tightly wrapped around Meng Xiaoquan's neck, draping her own enchanting body entirely over Meng Xiaochan. Master, I can't breathe like this. Meng Xiaochan was half a head shorter than Nangong Mili. At this moment, Nangong Mili's posture allowed two soft peaks to envelop her face directly within them. All right, stop dawdling, hurry up. Nangong Mili, finding her little disciple's appearance quite amusing, pushed out her full and rich chest and urged with a voice. Meng Xiaochan didn't dare to hesitate and immediately consumed mana to use the third-rank teleportation talisman. The next moment, atop the mountain range, a beautiful matron clad in gray and white clothing immediately felt a surge of mana fluctuation. Immediately, her magical sword slashed at the mountaintop in front. This slash was incredibly fierce and tyrannical, with the sword light resembling a vast blue river falling from the heavens, dimming the luminance of the entire world. Roar! The mountaintop directly collapsed under this slash, split into two halves. The beautiful matron immediately transformed into a rainbow of light and, looking at the cave inside the large mountain with a cold expression, knew she had just failed to capture the demon head the moment before he escaped from her eyesight. Just then, as if sensing something, she suddenly looked in another direction, her magical sword brewing with power, ready to slash again. Senior, I just happened to pass by here. In the distance, a girl around 16 or 17 years old in black clothing clambered out from a pile of rocks, quickly raising her hand and shouted loudly. Although her eyes showed a hint of fear, her face was taut, and her eyes revealed unyielding determination. Fourth level energy refinement. The beautiful matron glanced at the girl in black, her brows slightly furrowed. She didn't know why the girl had appeared in these mountains. Although this mountain range wasn't exactly teeming with demon beasts, there were still quite a few roaming about. With the girl's strength, even a minor encounter with a powerful demon beast could be dangerous. Nevertheless, seeing the girl's situation, she realized she was caught up in the aftermath of her recent offensive. She instantly raised her hand, causing the surrounding rocks to disperse. Little girl, these mountains are very dangerous for someone of your strength. They'll send you on your way. Lan Ruoxua looked at the girl in black and said out loud, "Thank you, Senior. I was looking to cross these mountains to reach the Heavenly Sword sect." The girl in black bowed in greeting. "Oh, the Heavenly Sword sect? What are you going there for?" Lan Ruoxua was somewhat surprised to hear this. The Heavenly Sword sect is an immortal sect for sword cultivators. I am determined to become a great sword immortal, so I want to join the Heavenly Sword sect. The girl in black pursed her lips and spoke earnestly, her eyes showing unwavering resolve. It is not easy to be accepted into the Heavenly Sword sect. Lan Ruoxua heard the girl's words, smiled, and said, "Since fate has brought us together, and if you have talent in the sword Dao, I will take you to the Heavenly Sword sect." "Thank you, Senior." Qin Yi immediately showed a look of excited joy upon hearing this. She had witnessed Lan Ruoxua's feat of leveling a mountaintop and shattering the large mountain and knew that Lan Ruoxua was a venerable expert. Hearing this, she guessed that the other party might well be an elder from the Heavenly Sword sect. Lan Ruoxua said nothing more, took a step forward, appeared in front of Qin Yi, held her wrist, and checked her spiritual root talent. A mountaintop that reached straight into the clouds. Atop this peak stood a misty spiritual pool surrounded by dense mist that obscured the view within the pool. It was neither morning nor night, yet thick mists shrouded the area around the pool. However, if a cultivator were to see this, they could tell that someone had set up a formation here, indicating that the spiritual pool was already occupied. Lu Lang, a beautiful woman with a graceful appearance and hair like a waterfall, was soaking in the spiritual pool. Her tall, well-formed body with skin like jade was semi-concealed in the pool, causing ripples to spread across the surface. "Don't worry, if anyone comes, you'll notice them immediately, especially since you, Zishao, have set up a formation." Lu Changxing, holding a tender warmth, circulated the dragon invocation technique, arranging the dragon roar of yang energy within Ling Zixio's body. However, no sooner had his words left his mouth, he suddenly felt something was amiss and abruptly looked up at the sky. Suddenly the void rippled, and two figures fell plop into the spiritual pool from the sky. Chapter 511, Yu Family's Movement, Miss Xiaochan? _1 Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Family. Boom! That day, above Qingzhou Valley, nature's spiritual energy began to surge, slowly forming a vortex of spiritual energy. What's happening? The surge of spiritual energy, forming a vortex. Someone is attempting foundation establishment. Foundation establishment? Who in our family is attempting foundation establishment? It must be because the Lu family ancestor previously rendered great service to the Qingyun sect, exchanging for a foundation establishment elixir or foundation establishment spirit objects, allowing someone from our family to initiate foundation establishment. I wonder if it's Uncle Miao Feng or Auntie Miaoga who is attempting foundation establishment. I read in the books, once the spiritual energy vortex forms, it signifies that the 3 challenges of foundation establishment have been passed, arriving at the most critical stage of foundation establishment. The final moment. I wonder if they can succeed. They must succeed. If so, our Lu family will have 2 foundation establishment great cultivators. Upon seeing this spiritual energy vortex, many Lu family disciples spoke out, buzzing with discussion. Although the news about Lu Yuanzhong's serious injuries had not been spread throughout the family, there were still many who heard rumors, whispers about it. They knew that their family ancestor had been severely injured while fighting the Xiahou clan and didn't have much longer to live. Now, seeing someone in the family attempting foundation establishment, they were naturally overjoyed and extremely excited. After all, for the Lu family, regardless of whether Lu Yuanzhong was seriously injured, having one more foundation establishment ancestor was an incredibly good thing. Each additional foundation establishment cultivator meant that the Lu family's strength and foundation had risen to a new level. Yuan Ding, Miaoge, you too must secure the family. Deep in Qingzhou Valley, Lu Yuanzhong acted as the protector for Lu Miaofeng. Seeing that Lu Miaofeng had reached the final step and was about to congeal his mana and lift the platform of the Tao, he transmitted his voice to Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaoge. Qi refinement impacting foundation establishment, the convergence of nature's spiritual energy, would inevitably cause some commotion, especially at the final moment. Though the commotion was not significant, it could be clearly perceived within Qingzhou Mountain. But it was not guaranteed that it wouldn't invite dangerous trouble. Not to mention, the cultivation families in the vicinity all planted spies and internal informants within each other to grasp and understand the situation and information about each other's family. No one wanted to see a new foundation establishment cultivator born in a neighboring family. Hence, foundation establishment attempts were usually kept secretive. Just like how the previous Lu family ancestor had secretly taken him away from Qingzhou Mountain to attempt foundation establishment elsewhere. Only after the success of foundation establishment did he return to the family. Yes, ancestor. Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaoge responded with a nod. Due to the war against the Xiahou clan, the Lu family had suffered great losses. Thus, for Lu Miaofeng's foundation establishment this time, to avoid any accidents, Lu Miaoge had been stationed in Qingzhou Mountain. By Lake Mountain, Yu family. Ancestor, we have received word from our people that someone from the Lu family is currently attempting foundation establishment. They have passed the 3 challenges of foundation establishment and have reached the critical moment. As for who is attempting foundation establishment, it's not yet confirmed, but it's either Lu Miaoge or Lu Miaofeng. The patriarch of the Yu family came to the back mountain of the family estate and reported this piece of information to their patriarch. When Lu Yuanzhong was poisoned by corpse toxin in Blackwater Pool, I had guessed that his life wouldn't last long, and he would need to prepare for the aftermath, allowing the Lu family to birth a new foundation establishment cultivator, previously young master Bai, after exchanging for a foundation establishment elixir at the Qingyun sect, used up all the family's savings by relying on old favors to secure an opportunity to attempt foundation establishment within the Qingyun sect, and he successfully achieved foundation establishment. If we allow the Lu family to birth another new foundation establishment cultivator, won't all our Yu family's plans be in vain? Eugene Yang, clad in a blue brocade robe with youthful looks despite his white hair, his eyes sharp as lightning, snorted coldly. Ancestor, do you mean to directly attack Qingzhou Mountain? The patriarch of the Yu family tentatively inquired. Recently, the Qingyun sect has forbidden conflicts among the major families. If we launch a full attack on Qingzhou Mountain, we might provoke the Qingyun sect to intervene. Moreover, right now the Lu family must be on high alert with their great formation fully operational, thus attacking Qingzhou Mountain wouldn't be easy. Furthermore, our Yu family has a cooperation arrangement with the Lu family, and it would seem rather unsightly for us to act this way. Eugene Yang declared. Ancestor, are we just going to let the Lu family succeed in foundation establishment? The patriarch of the Yu family voiced out, somewhat unwilling to accept the situation. He was very clear that his ancestor had great ambitions, aiming to swallow up the surrounding major families. Currently, the Wugong Ridge Zheng family was without a successor and their patriarch's life was fading, already infiltrated by their Yu family. It could be said that once the Zheng family patriarch died, the Wugong Ridge Zheng family would completely become a vassal to their Yu family, an item in their bag. The Hundred Birds Lake by family and Qingzhou Mountain Lu family also figured into their Yu family's plans. Initially, the lifespan of the Bai family ancestor was nearing its end, and as long as they outlasted him, 100 Birds Lake was unlikely to escape the grasp of their Five-Finger Mountain. By then, only Qingzhou Mountain Lu family would remain, naturally unable to face their Yu family alone. However, the Bai family ancestor also realized this fact. Knowing his life was short and that it was very difficult for someone in the family with superior spiritual roots to attempt foundation establishment, they needed a foundation establishment elixir. Therefore, during the fight against the Xiahou clan, he took the opportunity to risk his life. He wished to gain strong merit before death to acquire a foundation establishment elixir for his family. Although the Bai family ancestor died in battle, he truly accumulated considerable merit. Just a short while ago, relying on the merit of the Bai family ancestor, young Master Bai went to the Qingyun sect to exchange for a foundation establishment elixir, then spent all the family's savings to get the chance to attempt foundation establishment within the Qingyun sect, and he was successful. With a new foundation establishment cultivator, the Yu family naturally had to change their plans, focusing their breakthrough on Qingzhou Mountain's Lu family. The Yu family had participated in the war against the Xiahou clan and knew that Lu Yuanzhong had sustained foundational injuries in that battle. Chapter 5:12. Yu family's movement, Miss Xiaochan? Therefore, the plan, which was originally to grind the Bai family ancestor to death, was changed to grinding Lu Yuanzhong to death. As long as Lu Yuanzhong died, the Lu family would be at a loss, without a new foundation establishment cultivator emerging, and the Yu family could take the opportunity to divide Qingzhou Mountain and take the Red Leaf Valley market into their pocket. At that time, faced with the power of the Yu family, the Bai family would find it hard to stand alone and would have no choice but to submit. If, this time, a new foundation establishment cultivator were born to the Lu family and the Bai and Lu families continued their alliance, it would be much more difficult and troublesome for their Yu family to swallow the Red Leaf Valley market with two families' strength against them. Doing nothing and letting the Lu family initiate foundation establishment is not the style of this old ancestor. Go and inform Ning Jun to accompany this old man to Qingzhou Mountain. Now that the Lu family is at a critical juncture of foundation establishment, they naturally wouldn't dare to meet the enemy head-on. We just need to hide our identities, harass Qingzhou Mountain, and cause the nature's spiritual energy there to become chaotic. Besides, the one in Qingzhou Mountain who is attempting foundation establishment, upon hearing this disturbance, will certainly be distracted and his state of mind affected, which might lead to a failure in foundation establishment. Yu Jinyang stood with his hands behind his back and spoke. The ancestor is wise. The patriarch of the Yu family understood the intent of their family's old ancestor upon hearing these words. When a cultivator attempts foundation establishment, not only is abundant spiritual energy required, but also a quiet environment. Because the spiritual liquid concentrate is transforming into mana, lifting the Tao platform, one cannot afford to be distracted. One moment of negligence can lead to failure in foundation establishment. If someone were to interfere during the process, or if a situation arises outside, one's mentality and state of mind would surely be affected, thus affecting the foundation establishment. Especially when attempting foundation establishment, hearing disturbances and knowing that one's own family is under attack would likely affect any clan cultivator's state of mind and mentality. Ancestor, if we act in this manner, what should we do if the Lu family goes to the Qingyun sect to complain afterward? The patriarch of the Yu family continued to inquire. The Qingyun sect had regulations in place. During the recruitment period, all major families and forces must cease any conflicts and disputes. Furthermore, within 3 years, all must develop peacefully without engaging in conflict or war. The expedition against the Xiahou clan happened a mere half a year ago. If the Yu family were to commit such an act, and the Lu family were to complain to the Qingyun sect afterward, it could potentially bring trouble upon the Yu family. How could the Qingyun sect possibly care about such trivial matters? Unless we launch a full-scale attack on the Lu family and destroy Qingzhou Mountain, perhaps the Qingyun sect might send someone to question us. Merely harassing and affecting Qingzhou Mountain, why would the Qingyun sect have the leisure to deal with such matters? Even if someone were to come, it would be nothing more than a warning and some punishment. Yu Jinyang scoffed upon hearing this, speaking directly. He then turned to the patriarch of the Yu family and said, Ning Yuan, the Qingyun sect stands aloof from the world, and its actions have always been about maintaining its dignity, not upholding justice and fairness. To them, our family forces are merely dogs in their eyes, and they couldn't care less about our minor scuffles. Therefore, towards the Qingyun sect, we should hold reverence, but not excessive fear. Yu Jinyang spoke, his voice firm. Thank you for the teaching, ancestor. The patriarch of the Yu family said, bowing his hands in response. Soon after, Yu Jinyang left Yuninghu in charge of Bai Lake Mountain and, taking the newly advanced foundation establishment, Yuningjuan, went to Qingzhou Mountain. He also sent a message to Yu Yuanshan, who was stationed at the Red Leaf Valley Market. The three of them went to Qingzhou Mountain together, intending to disrupt and interfere with the foundation establishment happening there. At a mountain peak's spiritual pool, Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao were bathing in the spiritual pool, grooming their young energy, and speaking intimate words to each other. Suddenly, a ripple spread through the void. Two figures appeared, and with a plop, they fell into the pool. One of the figures was pale-faced with no trace of blood, and upon falling into the water, began to sink with bubbling sounds. The other figure managed to stabilize herself as she fell into the pool, but, upon seeing Lu Changxing, she froze on the spot. In her beautiful eyes, a mix of emotions surged, surprise, astonishment, tenderness, and more, leaving her at a complete loss. However, Lu Changxing didn't notice all this. He and Ling Zixiao saw people appearing, and in the blink of an eye, their mana surged, gleaming lights flowed around their bodies, then they moved to the shore, draping their robes loosely over themselves. Ling Zixiao leaned against Lu Changxing with flushed cheeks. She never would have imagined, after finally mustering the courage to comply with Lu Changxing's unreasonable request and agreeing to groom their yang energy in this mountain peak spiritual pool, that they would encounter such an incident. This left her mind a blank slate, as if muddled, her heart stricken with intense embarrassment. Lu Changxing was somewhat astonished as he looked towards the two who had crashed into the spiritual pool. He wondered how the two had appeared there. He was focusing all his efforts on sorting out the yang energy for Ling Zixiao, but his divine sense was indeed paying attention to the surroundings. He hadn't noticed at all how the two managed to approach so quietly. Moreover, around the spiritual pool, Ling Zixiao had laid down an inverted 5 elements formation. Typically, foundation establishment cultivators could not easily break through it, let alone enter the formation silently and without a trace. Lu Lang. Just then, Meng Xiaochan, dressed in a purple gown, emerged from the water surface, her face pale as she called out to Lu Changxing. Her shout was laden with a mix of emotions: surprise, joy, longing, tenderness, grievance, and more. Earlier, she and her master Nangong Meili had faced danger in the cave and had to forcibly activate a third-order teleportation talisman to make their escape. For her, this level of talisman was not only extremely draining to use and difficult to activate, but it was also uncontrollable. She could only rely on her master Nangong Meili's aid to activate it. The moment they used the talisman, they were attacked by a burst of sword qi. Although they managed to escape using the teleportation talisman, both she and Nangong Meili were injured in the process. But she had never imagined that the teleportation talisman would lead her to Lu Changxing. On this trip to Jiang country, her heart had been in turmoil, wondering if she might encounter Lu Changxing. After all, she harbored an unstoppable longing for Lu Changxing, and to say he filled her thoughts by day and haunted her dreams by night was by no means an exaggeration. However, a shred of clarity and rationality in her heart made her dread seeing Lu Changxing. She was afraid that upon seeing Lu Changxing, she would lose herself. Lu Lang. Ling Zixiao quickly recovered her wits and looked towards the two in the spiritual pool, ready to suppress them through the formation. But upon hearing Meng Xiaoquan's sudden call of Lu Lang, she was stunned again, with a dumbfounded expression. What the hell? Did this girl know Lu Changxing? Furthermore, this call of Lu Lang gave her the impression of a long-awaited reunion, filled with tender affection. It made her immediately realize that the relationship between the two was out of the ordinary, extremely close. Could it be that the two were called here by Lu Changxing wanting to, in an instant, a notion surfaced in Ling Zixio's mind. But she quickly dismissed the thought the next moment. Not out of trust in Lu Changsheng's character. When it came to matters of men and women, she had no particular trust in Lu Changxing. She had long determined that Lu Changxing was no ordinary cultivator. Although such a scenario was outrageous, it was not entirely impossible. The reason she dismissed the idea was that she could clearly sense that their appearance hadn't triggered her formation. It seemed as if they had arrived through the use of space-traveling spell or teleportation formation. Yet, space-traveling spells are exceedingly profound. Apart from the rare mutant spiritual root known as Sky Spirit Root, only nascent soul true lords could master such divine skills. As for teleportation formations, that's even less likely. One would need to be a third-order top-rank formation master to set up such a formation. And the process of setting one up is very complex. It's impossible to teleport without a proper setup. Miss Xiaochan. Lu Changxing, hearing Meng Xiaoquan's voice and seeing the girl before him, was surprised. He hadn't expected that the girl who had suddenly appeared would be Meng Xiaochan. From the information he had purchased in Jiuxiao Immortal City, he already knew that Meng Xiaochan belonged to the Five Poisons cult of Jin Kingdom's demonic path. She should be on the run from the Heavenly Sword sect with the Heaven Spider emissary Nangong Meili, so how did she suddenly show up here? Indeed, they know each other. Ling Zixiao, upon hearing Lu Changsheng's address to Meng Xiaochan, paused internally and thought to herself that they indeed knew each other, and their relationship was not ordinary. The next moment, upon seeing Meng Xiaoquan's appearance and features, her eyes instantly showed a look of surprise and doubt. She had seen information about the demonic path incident in Jiuxiao Immortal City that Lu Changxing had purchased. The jade slip contained details about Meng Xiaochan, her background, and introduction. Now seeing Meng Xiaochan, she instantly recognized that this was the demonic path cultivator who was being pursued by the Heavenly Sword sect as mentioned in the incident at Jiuxiao Immortal City. This caused her to wonder with surprise how Lu Changxing had dealings with a demon cultivator. Could it really be that he was some kind of heretical or demonic cultivator? Chapter 513. Such a coincidence? A wave of romance? A cauldron-like body? It's me. Meng Xiaochan, seeing Lu Changxing recognize her, immediately said with a face full of joy. She then wanted to embrace Lu Changxing like a swallow returning to its nest. But the next moment, her delicate body suddenly stiffened. She stood in place, silent. Her teeth bit into her pale lips, her hands clasped over her clothes, a look of profound sadness and dejection on her face, her mood low. Although she harbored a heart full of longing and affection for Lu Changxing, upon seeing Lu Changxing, an uncontrollable joy and excitement surged from the depths of her heart. But she was clear in her heart. Her affection for Lu Changxing stemmed from the Lockhart Gu. Between her and Lu Changxing, there was nothing that could be called affection. Even more so, considering the past grudges and disputes between them, Lu Changxing might harbor disgust for her. Now, she had stumbled upon Lu Changxing in such a situation. Furthermore, as a person of the demon path, she was currently being pursued and wanted by the Heavenly Sword sect of Jiang country. It made her emotions complicated, unsure of how to face Lu Changxing. Did this woman do something to wrong Lu Changxing in the past? Ling Zixiao, standing to the side, saw Meng Xiaoquan's face filled with excitement and joy moments ago, wanting to throw herself into an embrace, but now, she immediately showed a hesitant and awkward appearance, and couldn't help but speculate in her heart. Lu Changxing, seeing Meng Xiaoquan's pitiful look, as if she had done something wrong, could roughly guess what the other party was thinking. After all, the two of them couldn't be said to be familiar with each other, they had only met a few times. And their meetings had not been friendly. But to say they weren't familiar? The two of them had, because of the Peach Blossom Gu, formed deep bonds. After the incident in Red Leaf Valley, Lu Changxing was almost certain. Under the backlash of the Peach Blossom Gu, Meng Xiaoquan's affection for him ran deep. Otherwise, she wouldn't have acted so irrationally when he was in danger, and after the event, she would not have given him Foundation Establishment elixirs, Foundation Establishment spirit objects, and spirit stones, all for the sake of his forgiveness. Miss Xiaochan, how come you are here? Lu Changxing asked. In the Battle of Red Leaf Valley, he had let go of the past grievances. After all, he hadn't lost out in his dealings with Meng Xiaochan. He managed to reach Foundation establishment easily, and it was all thanks to the Foundation establishment elixir gifted by Meng Xiaochan. Without Meng Xiaochan's 2 Foundation establishment elixirs, not only would his own Foundation establishment have been difficult, Xiaoxia's attempt might also have been dangerous. Besides, maybe it's because men are more forgiving of those who like them. After all, she likes him so much. If she were to become the mother of his child in the future, would these issues even matter? Let it be considered as a meeting of love and conflict. However, Lu Changxing was indeed curious why Meng Xiaochan had suddenly appeared here. I came to Jiang country with my master to do a task and then was pursued by the Heavenly Sword sect. Meng Xiaochan, hearing Lu Changxing's question, pursed her lips and without hiding anything, told the story bit by bit. She indicated how she and her master had been hiding along the way from the Heavenly Sword sect's pursuit, but were discovered previously and managed to escape with the help of a teleportation talisman. A teleportation talisman? You just happened to teleport here, such a coincidence? Lu Changxing, hearing this, paused. He immediately thought of his peach blossom goo. The peach blossom goo would enhance his love luck in mysterious ways. And in his eyes, this incident fit the bill for love luck. Otherwise, how could such a coincidence occur? He asked, Miss Xiaochan, do you have any plans for what comes next? Although he held no ill feelings toward Meng Xiaochan, he even thought of taking her home to be the mother of his child at one point. But now, since she was involved with the demon path and the Heavenly Sword sect, he didn't harbor such thoughts anymore. It wasn't because of some irreconcilable difference between righteous and demonic paths or a prejudice against the demon path, but given the current tense situation between Jiang country and Jin kingdom, Meng Xiaochan's involvement in the Jiuxiao Immortal City incident would implicate him with the demon path if he had any connections with her. If the Heavenly Sword sect found out, not only he but the entire Lu family could be in danger. Lu Lang, don't worry. I won't cause you any trouble. I'll take my master and leave. Meng Xiaochan, biting her pale lips, said so. As soon as she finished talking, her heart skipped a beat, and she immediately remembered her master, Nangong Meili, and how after they fell into the spiritual pond, her master had sunk into the water. Seeing Lu Changxing, she had been thrown into disarray. For the moment, she had forgotten all about Nangong Meili. Master! She exclaimed in shock, and immediately dove into the spiritual pond to fish out her master. Master, 5 Poisons Cult, Heaven Spider Emissary, Nangong Meili? Lu Changxing's eyes slightly narrowed, looking towards the figure that sank into the spiritual pond. In his mind appeared the image of the bewitching woman in black he had seen at the Jiuxiao Immortal City. Even though he had only glanced at her briefly at the time, her captivating allure had left a lasting impression on him. According to the intelligence he bought afterward at Heaven Knowledge Tower, this person was likely the Heaven Spider emissary of the 5 Poisons cult, Nangong Meili. Mid-nascent soul stage cultivation, born with a seductive body. A moment later, glub glub, Meng Xiaochan emerged from the spiritual pond holding Nangong Meili, who was clad in a black dress. At this moment, both of their clothing was totally wet, clinging to their skin, their curvaceous figures fully displayed under the wet fabric. Especially Nangong Meili, in her black gauze dress, her figure was graceful and already full of temptation, bewitching. Now, her perfect enticing body, wrapped in wet clothing, was the epitome of temptation. The proud fullness in front of her chest heaved with her breathing, the slender waist that could be grasped with a hand, and the round, prominent bottom, all radiated an intoxicating carnal scent. Chapter 5:14. Such a coincidence? A wave of romance? A cauldron-like body. The damp, jet-black hair clung to her ghastly pale and bloodless exquisite cheeks, beautiful and bewitching, exuding an indescribable sense of tragic beauty. It ignited a possessive desire in onlookers while also compelling them to feel sympathy. So this is the naturally charming body? Even in a comatose state, she's filled with allure and charm. Lu Changxing couldn't help but glance sideways, taking in a few looks, and felt moved by the charm of the beguiling body. To his knowledge, the naturally enchanting body was just a type of ordinary spiritual body commonly found in females. It was nothing rare or special. The allure of Nangong Meili, besides her natural bewitching body, he reckoned, must also have something to do with her appearance, or perhaps the cultivation technique she practiced. This thought triggered another in his mind. If he were to absorb her essence, he wondered what benefits he might acquire. In the cultivation world, the enchanting body was also referred to by the term cauldron body constitution. This indicated that the bewitching body was especially suitable for practicing dual cultivation absorption techniques. Although it wasn't as beneficial as the charming female body, or primordial yin physique, for dual cultivation, it still offered significant advantages for absorption, particularly since the Nangong Meili in front of him was a nascent soul immortal. If he could absorb her true elixir's primordial yin, the benefits might be substantial. Once this idea took hold, it immediately filled Lu Changsheng's mind, making him feel as though two little figures were wrestling in his head. One dark figure told him that both Meng Xiaochan and Nangong Meili were from the demon path. If he became involved, it might bring trouble. He'd be better off taking the opportunity to absorb her essence and kill her. On the other hand, a light figure told him that he was, after all, a gentleman of integrity. How could he commit such an act? Master! Meng Xiaochan embraced her master, bringing her to the shore to examine her condition. She immediately found that her master's condition was very bad. Previously, she and Nangong Meili had escaped with a teleportation talisman. But with her own strength, she couldn't activate the talisman at all. It was only possible with Nangong Meili's assistance. Nangong Meili, at that time, was already in a severely injured state, having just awakened and extremely weak. Upon activating the talisman, she collapsed back into unconsciousness. Then, she was struck by a sword beam from Lan Ruoxue, which drastically worsened her already serious condition. It wasn't life-threatening yet, but if it continued, her life would indeed be at risk. Meng Xiaochan immediately took out a healing pill from her storage bag, fed it to Nangong Meili, and helped her refine the medicinal essence. Miss, I see that your master is in a bad state right now. Moreover, you and your master are being hunted by the Heavenly Sword sect. If you leave like this, once you encounter a disciple of the Heavenly Sword sect, I'm afraid it will be dangerous. At that moment, Ling Zixiao, who was beside Lu Changsheng, looked at Meng Xiaochan and spoke out. Through Lu Changsheng's gaze and breathing, she could sense that her lover had a possessive desire for the present Nangong Meili. To this, she could somewhat understand. On one hand, Nangong Meili was indeed captivating. Even as a woman herself, she felt somewhat attracted. An additional reason was that she had reviewed the information on the demon path happenings in the Jiuxiao Immortal City. She recognized Nangong Meili. She knew that this unconscious woman was one of the nascent soul immortals being chased by the Heavenly Sword sect. The Heaven Spider emissary from the Five Poisons cult, Nangong Meili. She was aware that Lu Changsheng was proficient in many dual cultivation and absorption techniques. A weakened, unconscious nascent soul immortal before him was like a grand medicinal herb to someone like Lu Changsheng, who was adept in absorption techniques. If he could absorb her essence, the benefits might be immense. My disciple and I appearing here will surely bring trouble for Taoist Lu and Lu Taoist. Therefore, in order not to cause you too any trouble, Meng Xiaoquan's delicate face was somewhat pale. She bit her lip lightly, her voice quivering as she spoke. How could she not know that she and her master were in extreme danger? But at this moment, her heart was very complicated. On one hand, her affection for Lu Changsheng made her want to approach him, to show her soft side in front of him, seeking help. Yet that same affection made her worry about causing Lu Changsheng trouble. Apart from affection, the few remaining shreds of rationality in her heart also made her worried. Fear gripped her that Lu Changsheng might turn against her and her master. After all, she had witnessed Lu Changsheng's methods before. She knew Lu Changsheng was truly extraordinary. A decade had passed, and Lu Changsheng had successfully established his foundation, his strength and methods only becoming more formidable. If her master, Nangong Meili, had been well, things would have been fine. But now her master was seriously injured and comatose, and she herself was in a weakened state. If Lu Changxing decided to make a move against them, she feared she would be utterly powerless to resist. Miss Xiaochan, as Zishao said, "It's very dangerous for you to take your master away with you now. There's a formation here that conceals your presence, which should offer some security. Let me take a look at you and your master's condition." Lu Changxing looked at Meng Xiaochan before him, sighed softly, his heart softening a bit. In the end, he couldn't bring himself to take advantage of their vulnerability, to harvest and kill them. Nor could he watch Meng Xiaochan, who had deeply cared for him, leave with Nangong Meili in such a state, falling into peril. Since fate had strangely brought them together here, creating ties between them, adding a few more didn't matter anymore. Lu Lang. Meng Xiaochan heard these words, her beautiful eyes locked onto Lu Changxing, her eyes reddening, slightly moist. She was not a fragile person. Since her grandmother's death, she had been traveling alone through the cultivation world, her temperament surpassing countless others. But these past few months had been too exhausting for her. Her master comatose, facing the pursuit and assassination by the Heavenly Sword sect, each day was filled with terror, like walking on thin ice. Today, her master had finally awakened, but due to Lan Ruoxia's sword strike, their situation had deteriorated further. Not only was she weakened, but her master Nangong Meili was also facing a life-threatening crisis. Therefore, faced with Lu Changxing's concerned words, her tough inner self and taut nerves completely collapsed. "It's okay." Lu Changxing saw Meng Xiaocan's eyes brimming with tears, her delicate and pure face full of grievances, and he felt pity, sighing softly in his heart, moving forward to comfort her. Lu, has always been tender-hearted, unable to bear seeing tears. Meng Xiaocan's pitiful demeanor indeed invoked sympathy and made him want to hold her in his arms and protect her. Lu Langwo, hearing Lu Changxing's soothing words, like a gentle breeze, Meng Xiaochan could no longer control her emotions, suppressing them no longer, she rushed into Lu Changxing's arms, hugging him tightly. Her pale, delicate cheek rested against his chest as she sobbed softly. The sobbing grew louder, eventually turning into a loud wail. It seemed as if she wanted to release all the sadness, pain, anxiety, discomfort, and all other emotions from deep within her heart. It's all right, I'm here." Lu Changxing hugged Meng Xiaochan, his hand gently caressing her back, his voice soothing her. Although he knew Meng Xiaochan must not be young in age, but her appearance and her posture still conveyed a sense of a delicate and young girl. Ling Zixiao, who was watching from aside, said nothing. He pondered to himself, considering how Meng Xiaochan previously interacted with Lu Changxing in a hesitant manner, wondering what it was all about. From the current situation, she did not seem to have done anything to wrong Lu Changxing. Nor did Lu Changxing seem to hold any grudge against her. What is going on between these two? Ling Zixiao, observing the scene, truly found it incomprehensible. After a long while, the young girl had expressed her tumultuous emotions. Lifting her rain-streaked, delicate face, she pleaded with a vulnerable look, "Lu Lang, can you save my master?" Before, Meng Xiaochan would have found it difficult to ask Lu Changxing for help. But after her emotional outburst, not only had her tough inner self and taut nerves crushed, but also the last bit of rationality she had towards Lu Changxing. Instinctively, she saw him as her support. "All right, I have healing pills here. Start by recovering from your injuries." Lu Changxing extended his hand and gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. He then took out a bottle of high-grade healing pills from his storage bag and gave them to Meng Xiaochan. Thank you, Lu Lang." Meng Xiaocan's pale face broke into a smile, and she took out a pill and swallowed it directly. Then, Lu Changxing moved to the side, to where Nangong Meili lay pale and tempting, took hold of her pallid wrist, and began to check her condition. Chapter 515, Deep Master-Disciple Affection, Refining the Lockhart Gu _1 Lu Changxing held Nangong Meili's pale and delicate wrist, as mana and divine sense entered her body. He immediately noticed that her physical body was weak, her meridians and dantian were dried up, and she was in a state of severe stress. She must have suffered a serious injury and used some kind of life-consuming secret technique. Is this a nascent soul immortal's true elixir? Afterward, Lu Changsheng's divine sense ventured into the interior of Nangong Mili's Qi ocean core. There, on the Dao platform, a round, dimly lit, dark purple true elixir quietly floated. This was the first time that Lu Changsheng had seen a real true elixir. He had only read descriptions of it in books before. His divine sense touched the true elixir. He vaguely sensed a mysterious charm of the laws of the world. The true elixir that a cultivator condenses is related to the cultivation technique and foundation they have cultivated. Through the true elixir, one can roughly discern a person's mana, cultivation technique, and foundation. Therefore, both the Dao foundation and the golden core are the privacy of cultivators. Unless the relationship between two people is very intimate, they would never allow others to look inside their Qi ocean core at the Dao foundation and golden core. Lu Changsheng also took advantage of Nangong Mili's unconscious state to take a curious glance and broaden his knowledge. This true elixir should be a middle-grade true elixir, around 4th or 5th grade, perhaps? Looking at the true elixir, Lu Changsheng pondered internally. According to what he knew, core formation was graded into 9 grades. From 9th to 7th grade were considered low-grade flawed cores. With a low-grade flawed core, one's chance to break through to nascent soul in this lifetime is already doomed. The worst, a 9th grade true elixir, is even referred to as a mixed core. Without great opportunity, not to mention an abrupt breakthrough to nascent soul, even advancing to mid-nascent soul stage is very difficult. 6th to 4th grade are considered middle-grade true elixirs. This quality of core formation theoretically has a sliver of hope for breaking through to nascent soul. But the hope is extremely faint. Without a great opportunity, it's basically impossible. 3rd to 1st grade are superior gold cores. Once a golden core is formed, there is a significant hope of breaking through to nascent soul. They are true geniuses, exceptional individuals, referred to as nascent soul seeds. The true elixir is dim and lusterless. It seems the situation is indeed quite serious. Naturally, what could have left a nascent soul immortal so weak and unconscious? The injuries must be far from ordinary. Although there's no risk to her life, waking her up and recovering will be far from easy. If she isn't treated immediately, and precious materials and treasures aren't used to warm and nourish the physical Bodhis meridians and the true elixir, not only will it be difficult to awaken, but even if she does wake up, it's expected that there will be damage to the foundation and a regression in cultivation level. Lu Changsheng examined her one more time with his divine sense. He made a rough judgment about Nangong Mili's condition. After all, as a nascent soul immortal, her vitality was extremely tenacious, and she wouldn't die so easily. But if things kept dragging out like this, whether she could awaken and recover was really hard to say. And even if she did wake up, it's very likely that she would be left with chronic problems and suffer damage to her foundation and regression in cultivation level. Lu Lang, how is the condition of my mentor? At this moment, Meng Xiaochan looked toward Lu Changsheng with hopeful eyes and asked in a weak voice. Your mentor's condition is quite troublesome. Lu Changsheng exhaled lightly and shook his head. Nangong Mili's condition was indeed troublesome. He didn't have any good solutions for such a situation, only the most straightforward and old-fashioned ones. Elixir medicines, talismans, yin-yang nirvana art, life extension technique, the whole array of treatments. But to stabilize the condition of a nascent soul immortal like Nangong Mili would be difficult, and the cost was sure to be enormous. And he had no relationship with Nangong Mili, so why would he go to such lengths to save her? Hearing this, Meng Xiaocan's expression immediately dimmed. She had just checked on Nangong Mili's condition. She knew that her mentor was in a very bad state right now. Yet she had an inexplicable trust in Lu Changsheng, subconsciously placing her hopes on him. However, it's not entirely hopeless. Lu Changsheng, seeing Meng Xiaocan's pitiful appearance, pondered for a moment and spoke softly. He had given up on taking advantage of the situation to harvest from Nangong Mili, but he hadn't completely abandoned the idea. After his examination, he discovered that Nangong Mili was likely still a virgin and possessed true elixir Yuan Yin. At the same time, he discovered that Nangong Mili's true elixir had a Yin Chill attribute. She must have cultivated some Yin Chill attribute technique. If Nangong Mili were to wake up and recover, it's possible she could suppress the eruption of Ling Zixio's Dragon Roar physique and allow him the opportunity to resolve his own Dragon Roar physique issues. Saving her life and taking some benefits in return wouldn't be excessive, right? Lu Lang, do you have a way? Meng Xiaoquan's eyes lit up at his words. Yes, Lu Changxing nodded and spoke. Xiao Chan, as people of the Five Poisons cult from Jin Kingdom, you are currently being pursued and hunted by the Heavenly Sword sect. Saving her would surely bring trouble upon me. Moreover, the method I have for saving people involves dual cultivation secret techniques. If I proceed with the rescue, not only will it cost me greatly, but afterward, your mentor might blame me and even make an attempt on my life. So why would I pay such a price to save someone? Lu Changxing looked at the pitiful Meng Xiaochan before him and said earnestly. He did feel somewhat tender-hearted and pity for Meng Xiaochan, but he was not an indiscriminately kind person. He wasn't going to act soft-hearted and disregard the costs and consequences, exhausting his own source of life to assist and rescue. Moreover, while he trusted Meng Xiaochan, he had no trust at all in her mentor, the demon path which Nangong Mili. Who knows if, after saving her, she wouldn't turn around and act ungrateful. A nascent soul immortal, even in a weakened state, has extraordinary methods. Dual cultivation secret techniques, costing greatly. Chapter 516, Deep Master-Disciple Affection, Refining the Lockhart Gu Meng Xiaochan, upon hearing these words, lightly pursed her lips and remained silent. After a moment of contemplation, she suddenly looked up. Her pale and delicate face showed a firm resolve as she said to Lu Changxing, Lu Lang, so long as you can rescue my master, I will agree to any request you have. As for when my master wakes up, I will explain everything to her and ensure she won't harm you in the slightest. Meng Xiaochan spoke such words out loud. She knew that since Lu Changxing had spoken in such a manner, he must be confident in his ability to save her master. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spoken such words. As for Lu Changxing coveting beauty and her master's primordial yin, she didn't think in that direction at all. On one hand, it was because of her absolute trust in Lu Changxing. On the other hand, in her view, if Lu Changxing really wanted to do so, there was no need for such troubles. He could just take action directly. She and her master were completely powerless in the face of Lu Changxing. Therefore, she firmly believed that Lu Changxing was willing to pay the price to save her master for her sake. Indeed. Ling Zixiao, who was next to them, snorted lightly upon hearing the conversation. She thought to herself that Lu Changxing had finally shown his true colors. After all was said and done, it was still a matter of lust. However, as her partner, she would naturally not stand idly by if her beloved harbored such thoughts. After all, Lu Changxing had done so much for her these days, and it was only right for her to do something for him in return. Moreover, her lover's relationship with the young girl seemed rather complicated. Some words may not be appropriate to speak too bluntly, but if she were to speak them, it wouldn't matter. Ahem. Thereupon, Ling Zixiao let out a faint cough. Her voice crisply stated, Fellow Taoist, I was previously on the brink of death with my foundation damaged, but Lu Lang used a dual cultivation secret technique to save my life and heal my injuries. But this secret technique carries a huge cost, not only depleting one's origin source qi but also shortens one's lifespan. It's not as simple as you lightly promising to agree to any request. Besides, both you and your master are from the demon path and are known for acting without any inhibitions. When your master recovers and Lu Lang's origin source is damaged, what can he and I do if your master decides to strike? Even if your master refrains from acting against Lu Lang for your sake, what will happen if she later reveals your relationship with Lu Lang to the Heavenly Sword sect? Ling Zixiao looked at Meng Xiaochan and posed these questions. Meng Xiaochan was silent upon hearing these words. Just like what Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao had said, being involved with them was inherently risky and could lead to trouble. If Lu Changxing were to save someone, the ties would not be ordinary. If the Heavenly Sword sect were to find out, they might bring about a deadly calamity. Moreover, Lu Changsheng's rescue would come at a great cost and offer him no benefits. And based on her understanding of her master's character, she knew that although her master often assumed a carefree and flirtatious demeanor, enjoying teasing her, she always despised men and never spared them a second glance. If Lu Changxing were to use a dual cultivation technique to heal her master, it was very likely that Nangong Mili could become annoyed afterward and act against Lu Changxing. At that time, she wasn't sure she could persuade her enraged master. She wanted Lu Changxing to save Nangong Mili, but she didn't want Lu Changxing to fall into danger or attract trouble. Suddenly, the air was filled with silence. All three remained quiet. Lu Lang, do you carry the Lockhart Gu with you? At this moment, Meng Xiaochan lightly bit her lip and, with her eyes gazing at Lu Changxing, she asked. She was well aware that escaping the pursuit of the Heavenly Sword sect and returning to the Five Poisons cult with her master was virtually impossible. The only option was to rely on Lu Changsheng's intervention until her master recovered. Therefore, even if it came at a significant cost, she was willing to have her master treated by Lu Changxing using a dual cultivation secret technique. Moreover, in her heart, a character like Lu Changxing was also a suitable match for her master. However, to ensure that her master would not harm Lu Changxing upon awakening, she thought of the Lockhart Gu. The very Lockhart Gu that Lu Changxing had taken from her. Lockhart Gu? Lu Changxing was somewhat surprised to hear this. Yes, the one from before, the blood-red Gu insect. Meng Xiaochan spoke, her small hands lightly resting on her dress, as she looked down at her toes and said in a soft voice. She had intended to say the very Gu insect that she had used to bewitch Lu Changxing before, but in the end, the memory of that event made it difficult for her to speak. Are you speaking of this Gu insect? Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, immediately knew what Meng Xiaochan was referring to. He reached into his spiritual pet bag and took out a black Gu container. Opening the container, he revealed a Gu insect no more than an inch long, with a translucent bloody luster. It was the very Lockhart Gu he had obtained from Meng Xiaochan back then. He had long suspected it to be a Gu of love, which, with just one bite, would cause one to fall deeply in love. But the exact effect was unclear to him. Moreover, considering the unpredictability and dangers associated with Gu insects, he had always hesitated to refine it. Lockhart Gu? Ling Zixiao, upon hearing this, looked at the Gu in Lu Changsheng's hand and showed a look of surprise and confusion. Because of her dragon roar physique, she was unable to cultivate normally, so she spent most of her time studying formations, reading various books and notes, searching for a way to deal with her physique. She once came across information about the Lockhart Gu in a manual of a Gu cultivator. A top-tier earth spirit Gu. Its effects were incredibly overbearing. Once bitten by the Lockhart Gu, one would develop affectionate feelings for the host of the Gu. Virgin love emerging without reason, deepening profoundly. Even nascent soul immortals, or even nascent soul true lords would, after being bitten, inevitably fall for it despite realizing something was amiss. Chapter 517, Deep Master-Disciple Affection. Refining the Lockhart Gu, it would harbor affection for its host and feel no malice. She had not expected that Lu Changxing actually possessed a Lockhart Gu. According to ancient records, such a Gu insect is exceedingly rare and is considered a spirit Gu of heaven and earth. Could it be that this woman has been bitten by the Lockhart Gu, and thus she has fallen in love with Lu Changxing? Ling Zixiao looked at Meng Xiaochan, musing in her heart. She had long noticed that the relationship between Lu Changxing and Meng Xiaochan was strange. Not like lovers, cultivation partners, or a normal relationship between a man and a woman. She had pondered for a long time but could not figure out the nature of their relationship. Now, upon seeing the Lockhart Gu, she suddenly had a speculation. However, it seems that this Lockhart Gu is not Lu Changsheng's but belongs to this woman. This woman was born into the Five Poisons cult. If she has inherited the Gu tradition, then acquiring the Lockhart Gu might make sense. But why is the Lockhart Gu in Lu Changsheng's hands, and why is this young girl afflicted by the Lockhart Gu herself? Ling Zixiao felt confused again, unable to understand what was going on. Yes, it is this Lockhart Gu. Meng Xiaochan saw the Lockhart Gu and her eyes revealed a mix of complex emotions. It was because of this Lockhart goo that she and Lu Changxing developed a deep connection. She pursed her lips and said softly, "Once bitten by the Lockhart goo, one will develop feelings of love for its host. If Lu Lang worries that the master might harm you, you can refine the Lockhart goo and use it on the master. That way, once the master wakes up, he will bear no malice towards Lu Lang under the effect of the Lockhart goo." Meng Xiaochan spoke softly. Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows upon hearing this. He had not expected Meng Xiaochan to offer such a solution. To let himself refine the Lockhart goo and use it on Nangong Meili. In that case, Nangong Meili upon awakening would harbor no ill will towards him. He had to admit, the suggestion was very tempting. Wouldn't this mean that not only could he take Meng Xiaochan home to bear children, but also bring the nascent soul immortal, Nangong Meili, home to bear children? Having children with a foundation establishment cultivator greatly increases the likelihood of the child possessing a spiritual root, and a good one at that. If one were to have children with a nascent soul immortal, the child's spiritual root talent would certainly be exceptional. Moreover, with the help of the Lockhart goo, he could brazenly live off the nascent soul immortal. Unlike now, where he has an opportunity to live off someone but dares not to do so, fearing that he might try it and end up being consumed instead. Esteemed fellow Taoist, your 5 poisons cult is adept in the art of goo and poison. Your master, Nangong Meili, as a heaven spider emissary and nascent soul immortal of the 5 poisons cult, must surely have some goo insects in her body. And as I understand it, there is a concept of backlash among goo insects. If your master has a domineering goo in her body and Lu Lang uses the Lockhart goo on your master, it might not work and could even result in goo backlash. Before Lu Changxing could reply, Ling Zixiao spoke. Although she had guessed some of the relationship between Lu Changxing and Meng Xiaochan, her understanding of goo insects was ultimately limited. She was not sure whether doing so would be safe. So it was only natural to proceed with caution, asking some of the questions that Lu Changxing might find hard to ask. Meng Xiaocan's delicate, pale face showed indifference as she glanced at Ling Zixiao. Then she turned to Lu Changxing, her face sweetly pitiful, and said, "Lu Lang can rest assured, to escape with me, the master used a secret technique to sacrifice all her goo insects. That's how we managed to flee from danger. Now, there are no more goo insects inside her body. Because of this, the master is so weak." Meng Xiaochan looked at Lu Changxing with a sincere expression. Her showing this vulnerable, sweet and humble side to Lu Changxing was due to her affection for him. But this affection did not extend so far as to make her fond of Ling Zixiao. In fact, seeing Ling Zixiao getting close to Lu Changxing made her quite unhappy. Moreover, she could sense that Ling Zixiao was clearly targeting her, so naturally she was not in a good mood. "Lu Lang, I have read about the Lockhart goo in ancient texts. Could you let me have a look at this goo insect?" Ling Zixiao didn't care about Meng Xiaocan's glance but looked at Lu Changxing and spoke. Lu Changxing was somewhat astonished upon hearing this. He had not expected Ling Zixiao to be familiar with the Lockhart goo. Although he hadn't spent much effort searching for information related to this Lockhart goo, because of the Lockhart goo, Peach Blossom goo, and Hope goo, he had looked at quite a lot of information about the path of goo. However, the way of goo is truly too obscure, with too little relevant information. Therefore, he hadn't found any information on the Lockhart goo, Peach Blossom goo, and Hope goo. "Miss Xiaochan, if I want to refine this Lockhart goo, how should I go about it? And as my master is a nascent soul immortal, would there be any repercussions if I were to use the goo on her?" Lu Changxing handed the Lockhart goo to Ling Zixiao for inspection and asked Meng Xiaochan. "I have the incantation to refine the Lockhart goo. Lu Lang just needs to feed the Lockhart goo with his blood while refining it. The Lockhart goo is currently in a weakened state. My master is a nascent soul immortal, so the goo can only have a partial effect and cannot fully influence her. But under the influence of the Lockhart goo, the master will definitely not harbor any ill will towards Lu Lang." Meng Xiaochan said seriously to Lu Changxing. After speaking, she continued to add, "The Lockhart goo can be used on a maximum of 3 people at the same time. Since the master is a nascent soul immortal, If Lu Lang hasn't cultivated the goo, it's best not to use it on anyone else. Lu Lang, this goo creature seems to match the descriptions I've seen in ancient texts, so it's likely to be genuine, but still, Lu Lang should be cautious. After all, the other party is a nascent soul immortal. After examining the Lockhart goo for a moment, Ling Zixiao didn't continue to provoke Meng Xiaochan and sent a message to Lu Changxing. Okay, I understand, Lu Changxing replied to Ling Zixiao through a message. Then he looked at Meng Xiaochan and said, naturally, I believe Miss Xiaochan. There is just one thing I request. After your master awakens and recovers, I hope she can help suppress the dragon roar of yang energy within Zixiao. Lu Changxing said. He didn't bother to mention his true elixir Yuan Yin right now. Suppress the dragon roar of yang energy? Meng Xiaochan looked at Ling Zixiao, somewhat puzzled after hearing this. Indeed, this is Ling Zixiao, my Dao companion. She possesses the dragon roar physique and is unable to cultivate. I have a method to solve the issue of the dragon roar physique, but it requires a nascent soul immortal practicing Yin Chill attribute techniques to suppress the backlash against her spiritual body. I just examined your master's condition, and it appears she practices Yin Chill attribute techniques, so I would like to ask for your master's assistance later. Lu Changxing spoke candidly. All right, Xiao Chan will accept this on behalf of my master. Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaochan instantly nodded in agreement. Lu Lang, Ling Zixiao became slightly stunned at these words. She had thought Lu Changxing was acting on lustful impulses towards Nangong Meili. Unexpectedly, Lu Changsheng's intention was to have Nangong Meili cured upon awakening to solve the issue with the dragon roar physique. This moved her heart deeply. Zixiao, take a look at this formation and see whether anything needs improvement, or perhaps find a more suitable location. Otherwise, if the people from the Heavenly Sword sect come searching, it will become troublesome. At that moment, Lu Changxing spoke to Ling Zixiao in a gentle voice. Whether it was refining the Lockhart goo or saving Nangong Meili, both would take a considerable amount of time. Therefore, during this process, they absolutely couldn't afford any disturbances. This place has a spirit pool to serve as the formation core, which is excellent for setting up a formation. If we want to be completely safe, I can set up an additional concealment array within the formation, and there's a high chance we won't be discovered. Ling Zixiao said so. Good, I appreciate your efforts, Lu Changxing said and nodded his head. He then had Meng Xiaochan teach him how to refine the Lockhart goo. Meng Xiaochan looked at Ling Zixiao in surprise, not expecting her to be an array master. Knowing that with the latter setting up the formation, they would be concealed and much safer, she and her master. She didn't linger and began to instruct Lu Changxing in the method of refining the Lockhart goo. And she informed Lu Changxing that he had a particularly dominant goo within his body. So, if he wished to refine other goo, as long as the goo in his body didn't mind, it would make the process much more efficient. After hearing this, Lu Changxing immediately forced a drop of his essence blood to feed the Lockhart goo. Then, with a slight movement in his mental spirit, he allowed the peach blossom goo within his sea of consciousness to exude an oppressive force, subduing the Lockhart goo. Boom! Under the pressure of the peach blossom goo, the already weakened Lockhart goo trembled violently. Seeing this, Lu Changxing immediately enveloped the Lockhart goo with his mana, activating the sacrificial refinement technique to refine the goo creature. Assisted by the peach blossom goo, the process went very smoothly. Lu Changxing estimated that it would take just 3 to 5 days to fully refine the Lockhart goo. Chapter 518. Foundation Establishment Strikes, Healing the Heart Lock. _1 Outside Qingzhou Mountain. 3 foundation establishment auras tore through the sky. They wore conical bamboo hats, concealing their forms and breaths. The Lu family has indeed prepared early, running their family's great formation at full capacity, Yu Ningjuan remarked upon seeing Qingzhou Mountain shrouded in a sky-blue glaze. No matter, our presence here is simply to meddle and disrupt, Yu Jinyang stated gravely. As his words ended, he positioned himself above Qingzhou Mountain within the foundation establishment region of Qingzhou Valley and unleashed a spell, bombarding the second-rank great formation of Qingzhou Mountain. Upon witnessing this, Yu Yuanshan and Yu Ningjuan immediately joined Yu Jinyang in his actions. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the spells of the 3 Foundation establishment cultivators landed on the second-rank Great Formation, causing a huge commotion and noise. This assault, although not adequate to inflict substantial damage on the Great Formation, still managed to impact the nature's spiritual energy within Qingzhou Mountain to some extent. Moreover, those within Qingzhou Mountain who were attempting Foundation establishment would inevitably notice this disturbance and become distracted. What's happening? An attack. Someone is attacking our family's Great Formation. This is bad. It's Foundation establishment cultivators. Foundation establishment Great Cultivators are attacking our Qingzhou Mountain. 3 Foundation establishment? Why now of all times? This clearly targets our Lu family. Who could it be? Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaoge, among other core members of the Lu family, were patrolling and guarding various positions. Upon hearing such a commotion, their expressions changed, and they looked out beyond the formation. They saw 3 Foundation establishment cultivators above Qingzhou Mountain, making moves against the Foundation establishment region. 3 Foundation establishment? Deep in Qingzhou Valley, Lu Yunzhong, who was defending Lu Miaofeng, saw through the formation, eyed the 3 figures outside, his face somber. Miaofeng, steady your mind and don't get affected. He immediately transmitted his voice to Lu Miaofeng, who was inside the secret chamber, urging him to concentrate on his Foundation establishment. The appearance of 3 Foundation establishment cultivators who began attacking their Qingzhou Mountain's Great Formation without any warning, aimed directly at the Foundation establishment region. It was clear they came with a purpose: to disrupt Lu Miaofeng's Foundation establishment. Watching the 3 people above Qingzhou Mountain continuously bombarding the formation, Lu Yuanzhong had a faint guess about where they might have come from. But even if he guessed, it was of no use without evidence. All he could do was keep the Great Formation running at full power, stabilize the situation, and hold out until Lu Miaofeng's Foundation establishment was successful. Only with Lu Miaofeng's successful Foundation establishment could the Lu family have the capability to seek evidence and demand an explanation. That night, the crescent moon was high, and the stars filled the sky. At the mist-shrouded tranquil mountaintop, phew! Lu Changsheng let out a breath and looked at the blood-red, crystal-clear goo in his hand. After 4 days, he had finally refined the Lockhart goo. After refining the Lockhart goo, he could feel a strange connection with it. A connection not as deep as with his peach blossom goo, but it still gave him a general understanding of the Lockhart goo. The Lockhart goo could seize a person's 3 flowers, transform them into threads of affection, and lock them onto oneself. He looked towards Meng Xiaochan. He could distinctly sense an inexplicable link between them, which was the thread of affection. The Lockhart goo had placed Meng Xiaochan's threads of affection onto himself, thereby making her develop feelings of love towards him. This Lockhart goo can indeed only bind 1 or 2 more people. If those bound by it are too numerous or their cultivation is too high, it may exceed the gust limits, rendering it ineffective, or even causing the threads of affection to snap. This is normal, after all. The Lockhart goo is but an earth spirit goo, and its effects are already quite remarkable. Moreover, with my Foundation establishment cultivation, if I nurture this Lockhart goo well and restore it to the pinnacle of 2nd rank, it won't be difficult to bind a nascent soul immortal. Lu Changsheng thought silently while examining the goo. The Lockhart goo could essentially bind cultivators 1 level higher than oneself. For instance, during his Qi refinement stage, the 1st grade Lockhart goo could bind Foundation establishment cultivators. During Foundation establishment, a 2nd rank Lockhart goo could bind nascent soul immortal. During core formation, a 3rd rank peak Lockhart goo could bind true monarch. As for the Lockhart goo at 4th rank, it was still at the true monarch level. This was the upper limit of the Lockhart goo. Immediately afterwards, Lu Changsheng turned to look at Meng Xiaochan, who was using mana to nourish Nangong Mili's physical body, and spoke, "Xiaochan, I have refined the Lockhart goo." "Lu Lang, you've refined the Lockhart goo?" Upon hearing that Lu Changsheng had refined the Lockhart goo so quickly, Meng Xiaochan's delicate and stunning face beamed with delight. Knowing that it took her more than a month to refine the Lockhart goo, but Lu Changsheng took only 4 days. This speed and efficiency were astonishing, and it made her think inwardly, fitting of her beloved Lang. He truly was extraordinary. With such a talented and handsome Lang as her lover, even if her master was affected by the Lockhart Gu and grew affectionate towards Lu Changxing, it wouldn't be a loss. Ling Zixiao, who heard the conversation, also looked towards Lu Changxing, surprised that Lu Changxing had refined the Lockhart Gu. Although she was not familiar with the art of Gu, she knew that refining a Gu was no simple task, especially such a rare and advanced Gu as the Lockhart Gu. Because Gu also have life and possess instinctive consciousness, they would resist the cultivator's refining process instinctively. Some fierce and dominant Gus could even cause backlash during the refining process. It seems that Lu Changxing has in him a powerful and dominant Gu, or a treasure related to Gu arts. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to refine the Lockhart Gu so rapidly. Alchemy, talisman making, talisman formation, and now a Gu or treasure capable of suppressing an earth spirit Gu. Who is he really? Chapter 519. Foundation Establishment Strikes, Healing the Heart Lock. Ling Zixiao looked at the stunningly handsome and ethereal Lu Changxing, murmuring to herself in amazement, unable to articulate her surprise. Previously, based on Meng Xiaocan's situation, she had guessed that Lu Changxing must have some domineering Gu insect or a treasured Gu artifact within him. Otherwise, his situation with Meng Xiaochan would be inexplicable. Now, seeing Lu Changxing refine the Lockhart Gu in just 4 days, she was nearly certain that there was a Gu insect within Lu Changxing more powerful than an earth spirit Gu, perhaps some treasured Gu artifact. This made Lu Changxing's image in her heart grow increasingly mysterious, grand, and majestic. At the same time, it made her somewhat afraid of him. On one hand, Lu Changxing's performance these past few days had been too astonishing. On the other hand, Lu Changxing had been excessively kind to her. In her view, their relationship was still one of utilitarian companionship. She was helping Lu Changxing by managing the family and setting up formations. Lu Changxing was resolving her dragon roar physique issue. Yet such a mysterious and formidable Lu Changxing was so good to her. As if they were truly a married couple deeply in love. This caused her to feel moved, yet also a bit worried and scared. She felt that Lu Changxing's intentions toward her weren't just about companionship, setting up formations, or managing the family. They had to be more complicated than that. If it were only about companionship, setting up formations, or managing the family, she truly didn't deserve such dedication from Lu Changxing at the moment. That's right. I do have a Gu insect close to me that can help me refine other Gu insects, so it was relatively quick, Lu Changxing said with a smile upon seeing the astonishment and disbelief of the two women. His swift refinement of the Lockhart Gu was naturally due to the Peach Blossom Gu. Without the Peach Blossom Gu's formidable suppression, it wouldn't have been so simple to refine an Earth Spirit Gu. Now that Lu Lang has refined the Lockhart Gu, we can begin, Meng Xiaochan said. She had intended to say they could now infest her master with a Gu. But halfway through she felt that phrasing wasn't quite proper. Although she was doing this to save her master, having a peerless, great man like Lu Changxing use a Gu on her master wouldn't be a loss. Still, the idea of gleefully letting her lover use a Gu on her master made her feel awkward and as if she was betraying her teacher. All right, leave the rest to me. Lu Changxing nodded and looked towards Nangong Meili, who was beside him. Nangong Meili was still pale and unconscious at this time. Her perfect jade body, creamy as fine porcelain and voluptuously curved, was wrapped in a long black dress. Her proud, round, full breasts, although lacking any adornment, were suffused with an enchanting allure. Her waist was slim enough to circle with one's hands, and at her disproportionately svelte waist and hips, her contours were distinct and rounded, like grinding stones, full and plump. Her legs were straight and long. Beneath the hem of her dress, half of her slender, beautiful leg was visible in high heels, white and silky, both noble and sexy. Indeed, from the inside out, every part of her, every inch of skin, radiated a fatally enticing charm. Even for Lu Changxing, who had weathered many battles and seen much of the world, facing Nangong Meili and thinking of what was to come stirred his emotions, and a slight heat arose in his lower abdomen. It seems my cultivation in this aspect is still not up to par. I need to gain more experience. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Among his many wives and maids, Nangong Mili might not be the most beautiful, but she was certainly the most enticing and captivating, not only in her looks, figure, and aura. Her status as a nascent soul immortal also evoked in him an indescribable urge to conquer. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west. There was a time when he, Lu, would be at the mercy of a nascent soul immortal. Today, he, Lu, could also ride the waves of a nascent soul immortal. Go, he mentally commanded and released the Lockhart Gu. Swoosh! The Lockhart Gu, like a red thread, flew and landed on Nangong Mili's white and elegant swan neck. Immediately afterward, hiss! With a hiss, it bit into Nangong Mili's white, elegant neck. As a nascent soul immortal, even without any body-refining techniques, her physical body was far from ordinary. But under the gentle bite of the Lockhart Gu, a small red spot immediately appeared on her neck, a tiny wound shining with a blood-red luster. In a short time, Lu Changxing could feel a mysterious force forming a connection through the Lockhart Gu, landing upon his body. It established a wondrous connection between him and Nangong Mili. The love thread. This was the Lockhart Gu using Nangong Mili's essence, qi, and spirit as a medium, transforming into a love thread tied to himself. Currently, this strand of love thread was only a primer, very faint. Nowhere near as strong as the one between Meng Xiaochan and himself. As time went on, the effects of the Lockhart Gu would make the strand of love thread grow stronger. Eventually, the other party would fall completely in love with him, an infatuation beyond escape. Ling Zixiao quietly observed this scene from the side. She wondered whether the Lockhart Gu could truly bind Nangong Mili completely, causing her to fall irrevocably in love with Lu Changxing. If the Lockhart Gu could hold a nascent soul immortal like Nangong Mili, then that amounted to Lu Changxing gaining a nascent soul Dao companion. Although Nangong Mili was a demonic path cultivator and currently wanted by the Heavenly Sword sect, as long as she evaded their pursuit, she would be able to provide tremendous assistance to Lu Changxing in the future. Meanwhile, she couldn't help but ponder. The Lockhart Gu can bind up to 3 people at most. Now that Lu Changxing had used the Lockhart Gu on both Meng Xiaochan and Nangong Mili, she wondered, if disagreements arose between her and Lu Changxing, would he use such a Gu on her too? This thought caused her heart to suddenly tremble. This strand of love thread should not break away now, right? Lu Changxing was unaware of Ling Zixiao's wild thoughts, quietly sensing his own love thread with Nangong Mili. He knew that to make Nangong Mili as deeply affectionate as Meng Xiaochan was, it would take a considerable amount of time. However, merely binding Nangong Mili and causing her to develop a fondness and favorable impression of him should not be difficult. But, after all, Nangong Mili was a nascent soul immortal. And the Lockhart Gu had been kept in a dormant state by him, currently weak. Therefore he couldn't help but harbor some worries. Even if Nangong Mili regains consciousness, she will be in a weakened state. As long as I'm careful, even if she breaks free from the Lockhart Gu, I have nothing to fear, Lu Changxing thought to himself. His confidence in acting this way stemmed not only from the Lockhart Gu but also from facing a weakened Nangong Mili. Cough cough, Xiaochan, go stand guard over there. Lu Changxing prepared to heal Nangong Mili. Seeing Meng Xiaochan kneeling at the side, he cleared his throat and spoke. Although he didn't mind her presence, it still felt somewhat awkward having her watch from the side. As for Ling Zixiao, he didn't care much. He considered it a way to acclimate her to such an atmosphere in advance. Oh, all right. Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaochan readily understood what was to follow. Her delicate face blushed as she quickly moved to another spot to stand guard. Ling Zixiao glanced at Lu Changxing with some surprise, not expecting him to exclude Meng Xiaochan from the process. She took her place at the center of the formation, fully operating it. She did this to prevent any leakage of Nangong Mili's aura during this time, which might alert the Heavenly Sword sect. Huff! Lu Changxing exhaled softly, raised his hand to remove the gauzy garment covering Nangong Mili. He then untied the sash at his waist, allowing the black skirt to fall away. A stunningly voluptuous and irresistibly alluring female body laid bare before Lu Changsheng's eyes. Instantly, the bright moonlight seemed to get lost and fall into the bewitching charm of this enchanting demonic woman. Her curves were smooth and round, every inch silkily delicate, with skin like creamy jade, her sanctified allure overwhelming in its beauty. Yet it seemed to contain boundless ferocity, capable of provoking the deepest desires, igniting one's blood with passion. Huff! Lu Changsheng's breath became slightly rapid, because the figure before him was truly that of a seductive devil straight out of hell. The exquisitely beautiful, unconscious pale face was captivating and alluring, evoking a boundless ferocity and possessive urge to ravish her upon pitying sight. He did not restrain himself. Confronting his own desires, he undressed and began to heal her. Chapter 520, The Mysterious Yin Seductive Body, Imbalance of Yin-Yang Energies. _1 Chapter 209, The Spirit Pool was serene, the moonlight flawless. A melodious and alluring moan rose from the mountaintop. Lu Changsheng was activating the tender embrace technique to heal Nangong Meili's injuries. This dual cultivation technique could, during the process of a man and woman cultivating together, absorb the vital yin essence from the female. Thereafter, it intertwined this vital yin essence with the male's vital yang essence, engendering 1 into 2 and 2 into 3, nurturing more yin and yang primordial essences, with a portion eventually returning to the female. Not only could this fill the woman's deficiencies, but also bolster her condition, imparting profound benefits. Nangong Meili's body was currently weak, her meridians and dantian dried up, her true elixir dim and lackluster. However, her life was not in danger. If she were to completely rely on the nirvana art and life extension technique for recovery and treatment, the consumption would be excessively large. After all, Lu Changsheng was merely a foundation establishment cultivator. His origin source energy was limited. To rely solely on his origin source energy to fill and reinforce a nascent soul immortal who had suffered a severe deficit was incredibly challenging. It would require the expenditure of much of his lifespan. Therefore, Lu Changsheng considered using the dual cultivation method to return feed his own essence with the vital yin energy. First, he would replenish the other party, ensuring a basic self-healing and recovery capability, and then resolve the injuries and fundamental issues through the nirvana art and life extension technique. Boom! Accompanying the first round of dual cultivation, Nangong Meili's vital yin essence erupted from within her. The surging and majestic vital yin energy, like torrential waves, flowed endlessly into Lu Changsheng's body. What? Lu Changsheng, feeling this vital yin essence, instantly realized something was amiss. Because this vital yin essence was too majestic, too vast. Even though she was a nascent soul immortal endowed with the true elixir's yin essence, using a dual cultivation energy drain technique on her vital yin essence, it shouldn't have resulted in such an immense amount of vital yin essence. What's going on? Lu Changsheng harbored doubts in his heart, not understanding the situation. Why would there be such a vast amount of vital yin essence within Nangong Meili? The next moment, this vital yin essence entered his body, causing his mana to surge and his qi ocean core within the dantian to tremble slightly. The yin-yang 5 elements foundation surrounded by circulating yin-yang energies instantly transformed into a small yin-yang fish, heading towards the vital yin essence and swallowing strands of the pale jade fluid. This is the yin origin? How could she possess such yin origin in her body? I understand now. Her spiritual body isn't some ordinary enchanting body, a naturally seductive body. It's the same as Shiyu's moonlight spirit body, a certain kind of yin spiritual body. And what's more, this spiritual body enhances dual cultivation. It's a sort of dual cultivation physique. Lu Changsheng looked at the enchanting figure before him, whose flawless jade body was captivating, and he immediately grasped the situation. Nangong Meili's spiritual body was not, as reported by Heaven Knowledge Tower, a naturally seductive body. Rather, it was a rare spiritual body that contained yin origin. This kind of spiritual body also had certain dual cultivation benefits. Otherwise, the vital yin essence of Nangong Mili's true elixir certainly wouldn't have been so immense and majestic. Furthermore, within the vital yin essence, the inclusion of this origin source fluid allowed his own yin-yang energies to respond, desiring to consume the origin, to ascend and transform. Naturally seductive body, yin origin, dual cultivation physique. Lu Changxing was astonished at what kind of spiritual body Nangong Mili possessed. But the continuous influx of vital yin origin didn't allow him any time to ponder further, nor did he have the inclination to do so. He hurriedly activated the tender embrace technique, blending his vital yang with the vital yin. The slow infusion of vital yin with vital yang caused the mana within Lu Changsheng's body to surge tumultuously, making the lake within his dantian roil. The next moment, boom! A rumbling echoed, Lu Changsheng's dantian swelled, surrounded by a pervasive robust magic aura. His cultivation level had broken through from the second level of foundation establishment to the third level. Originally, it would have taken him several years to achieve this breakthrough. But under the powerful surge of the vital yin essence and yin origin, his cultivation level broke through directly. This mana? I've broken through. Not far away, Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan both turned their heads towards Lu Changxing at this moment. They hadn't expected Lu Changxing to experience a breakthrough just then. However, it took the two of them only a moment to come to terms with it. After all, Nangong Mili was a nascent soul immortal. Lu Changxing was currently engaged in yin-yang dual cultivation with a nascent soul immortal drawing from her vital yin essence. Such an essence was extremely rare, not inferior to any elixir, and aiding a cultivation breakthrough was within reason. Tisk! Ling Zixiao, witnessing the posture of Lu Changxing and Nangong Mili together, felt her face blush and spat lightly in disapproval. She thought Lu Changxing simply had no shame to place Nangong Mili, a nascent soul immortal, in such an embarrassing position. Nevertheless, she had to admit that Nangong Mili looked stunningly beautiful, bewitching and alluring at the moment. From her enchanting face down to her charming jade feet, every inch of her skin exuded a thick tinge of desire. Enough to make all men in the world obsessed and women envious. It made Ling Zixiao herself couldn't help but take a few more glances at Nangong Mili, even wanting to reach out and touch her. So this is dual cultivation. To think my master would assume such a posture under these circumstances. Meng Xiaochan glanced surreptitiously at Lu Changxing and Nangong Mili, who were in the midst of dual cultivation, feeling her cheeks heat up and her body go somewhat limp and weak. Though her master's unconscious moaning a little while ago, along with the distinct sounds of impact, had already made her blush. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Changxing paid no mind to Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaocan's furtive glances. After all, in his heart, both women were destined to be the mothers of his children. Chapter 521. The Mysterious Yin Seductive Body, Imbalance of Yin-Yang Energies. So what is there to mind? If he minded and couldn't let go, he would have just had Ling Zixiao set up a formation to isolate this area. At this moment, the primordial yin essence in Nangong Mili's body was still surging violently, causing his qi, blood, and mana to flow wildly throughout his body. This primordial yin origin is too powerful. My primordial yang is not sufficient to merge with it completely, only a portion can be nourished back. Lu Changxing began to use the tender embrace technique. But in the face of such vast and powerful primordial yin essence, the tender embrace technique simply couldn't facilitate dual cultivation. Because dual cultivation requires both individuals to have similar cultivation levels, or for the stronger to assist the weaker. There has never been an instance where the weaker assists the stronger in dual cultivation. At this point, the true elixir primordial yin he was drawing from Nangong Mili was too immense, and it contained a yin origin essence, causing his primordial yang to be completely insufficient for the merging of yin and yang. It seems that this primordial yin essence can only be used to enhance my cultivation level, thought Lu Changxing to himself. He channeled a part of the essence that had merged the yin and yang back into Nangong Mili's body. At the same time, he activated the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, refining the excess primordial Yin essence. This vast primordial Yin essence was superior to many elixirs and miraculous medicines. Just then, Lu Changxing suddenly felt an imbalance of yin and yang in the yin-yang fish in his qi ocean core that was devouring the yin origin. His yin-yang 5 elements foundation base's yin-yang energies were already predominantly yin over yang. It was only maintained in balance by the spirit-nurturing energy of the golden core lady. But now, as the yin-yang fish absorbed the pure yin origin, the yin energy grew even more exuberant, causing an imbalance in yin and yang. An imbalance of yin and yang? Observing this, Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed slightly as he pondered what to do. He could now make the yin-yang fish stop refining the yin origin. But without absorbing it, the yin origin could only be used to enhance the cultivation level. However, when compared to strengthening the foundation, merely improving the cultivation level seemed much less significant. Moreover, using such a vast yin origin and primordial yin essence solely for enhancing the cultivation level would be extremely wasteful. Because the cultivation level enhanced through dual cultivation, if excessive, could lead to a shallow foundation, which would require a lot of time to consolidate. Could this yin origin, with its cold and yin properties, suppress the backlash of the dragon roar origin and the dragon roar physique? A thought struck Lu Changxing, and an idea surfaced in his mind. His biggest problem in using the dragon invocation technique to draw out Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique's origin was the backlash against the spiritual body. Therefore, he had thought of using some kind of cold yin artifact or mana to suppress the backlash of the dragon roar physique to facilitate the extraction. Previously, he had planned to wait for Nangong Meili to awaken and have the nascent soul Immortal suppress Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique so he could perform the extraction himself. Now, the yin origin from the nascent soul Immortal's spiritual body made him realize he could use it to suppress the dragon roar origin. If feasible, not only could he take the opportunity to resolve the dragon roar physique, but he could also extract the dragon roar origin to balance and enhance his own yin-yang energies. Without hesitation, he made up his mind and took action. Lu Changxing turned to Ling Zixiao and called out, "Zixiao." Ling Zixiao was admiring Nangong Meili's perfect jade body. Startled by Lu Changsheng's call, she paused. Xiao Chan's master should have some kind of yin spiritual body and harbors some yin origin that is beneficial to dual cultivation. This origin might be able to suppress the backlash from your dragon roar origin and spiritual body. Lu Changxing quickly explained to Ling Zixiao. Yin origin? Suppress the dragon roar origin and the backlash of the spiritual body? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao showed a look of surprise and delight. She was aware that the biggest issue Lu Changxing faced in resolving her dragon roar physique was the backlash of the dragon roar physique itself. If the origin extraction proceeded, it would trigger the dragon roar physique's backlash, with yang energy scorching her body, putting her life at grave risk. If this yin origin could suppress the dragon roar origin and the backlash of the spiritual body, then Lu Changxing could unreservedly extract and plunder the dragon roar origin to resolve the dragon roar physique. But the next moment, the joy on her face froze. She realized that to use Nangong Meili's yin origin to suppress her own dragon roar origin, it could only be done through dual cultivation in the marketplace. Doesn't it mean she now had to engage in dual cultivation with Lu Changxing? Although she had been intimate with Lu Changxing many times before, this method of dual cultivation, especially with Meng Xiaochan as a third wheel, made her feel somewhat hesitant. However, seeing Lu Changsheng's sincere gaze, remembering that at this time, he had acquired such rare spiritual body origin not to enhance his own cultivation level but to help resolve her dragon roar physique, and realizing that this was a rare opportunity to resolve her dragon roar physique, she clenched her teeth and immediately nodded in agreement. All right. This? Meng Sheng, standing to the side, heard their conversation and her delicate face froze in a daze, somewhat bemused. Wasn't her lover using a secret dual cultivation technique to heal her master? Why, before the healing was even finished, were they moving on to solving Ling Zixio's issue? The thought of Lu Changxing using her master's spiritual body origin to solve Ling Xixiu's condition made Meng Xiaochuan feel uneasy inside. But she couldn't really say anything against Lu Changsheng's decision. She just pursed her lips and asked softly, "Lu Lang, my master won't be in danger from this, right? Certain spiritual bodies, once their origin has been extracted, may face deterioration and danger. Xiaochuan, don't worry, nothing will happen. Your master is likely not a natural enchantress but a kind of spiritual body with some Yin origin that is beneficial to dual cultivation. That's why there was a problem with the dual cultivation technique just now. I could only stop and refine this origin essence." Lu Changxing did not hide anything as he continued running the tender embrace technique, transferring some of the yin-yang essence to Nangong Meili while explaining the reason to Meng Xiaochuan. Chapter 522. The Mysterious Yin Seductive Body, Imbalance of Yin-Yang Energies. Having said that, he asked aloud, "Xiaochuan, do you know what kind of spiritual body your master has? My master has never told me, and I am not clear about it." Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaochuan pondered for a moment, shook her head, and indicated that she did not know. The matter of a spiritual body is very private. Usually, it is not disclosed to others. Especially since Lu Changxing said that Nangong Meili's spiritual body is beneficial to dual cultivation. In such cases, it is even less likely to be revealed. Because a spiritual body suitable for dual cultivation is very suitable for being a cauldron. If it were known, it could easily attract the attention of those with ulterior motives, attracting trouble like bees to honey. A naturally charming body, with the Yin origin source, a dual cultivation physique? Could it be the profound Yin charming body? Lu Lang, the Yin origin source you just mentioned, is it in the state of jade liquid? Upon hearing Lu Changsheng's description, Ling Xixiu reflected and spoke. As she couldn't cultivate, she had scoured various texts in search of a solution for the dragon roar physique. Now, hearing Lu Changsheng's words, a corresponding type of spiritual body immediately came to her mind. Exactly. Lu Changxing, surprised and doubtful at her words, nodded. He had just sensed that this Yin origin source, when integrated with the primordial Yin essence, exhibited a jade liquid state. Then there's no mistake, this is profound Yin jade liquid, and this immortal spiritual body should be the profound Yin charming body. The profound Yin charming body naturally possesses charming bones, and when cultivating Yin attribute techniques, it has a certain enhancement. Moreover, the bearer of the profound Yin charming body will nourish the profound Yin qi within their body upon reaching the foundation establishment stage, aiding in breaking through bottlenecks and realms. The higher the cultivation level, the better the effect on breaking through bottlenecks. If the owner of the spiritual body breaks through to the core formation stage, and the profound Yin qi becomes dense, it will transform into profound Yin jade liquid, which can help nascent soul cultivators break through bottlenecks, and perhaps even realms. Ling Zixiao, too, was amazed at Nangong Meili's spiritual body and explained the effects of the profound Yin jade liquid to Lu Changxing. Profound Yin jade liquid can help nascent soul cultivators break through realms? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing was amazed in his heart. Helping nascent soul immortals break through realms meant that it could also assist in the breakthrough to the nascent soul. However, such rare profound Yin jade liquid had been obtained by him, basically squandering a heavenly resource. If others knew that such jade liquid, which could aid in the breakthrough to the nascent soul, was obtained by a mere foundation establishment cultivator like him, they would probably be green with envy. No wonder just a bit of profound Yin jade liquid ingested by my Yin and Yang energies caused such an imbalance. Lu Changxing paused internally, coming to a more direct understanding of the preciousness of this Yin origin source. If so, suppressing the dragon roar origin with the profound Yin jade liquid should not be a problem. He ran his mana, stopping the Yin and Yang energies from refining the profound Yin jade liquid, and shouted to Ling Zixiao, "Zixiao, hurry, otherwise this profound Yin jade liquid will be refined by my mana." Okay. Hearing this, Ling Zixiao no longer hesitated. She immediately removed her light blue palace attire, revealing her snow-white, voluptuous and graceful jade body. This body was not as enchantingly enticing as Nangong Meili's, but was still live and graceful. Splash! Lu Changsheng transferred the tender embrace technique, solely focusing on healing, and released Nangong Meili. Then he embraced Ling Zixiao tightly and jumped into the spiritual pond. Splish splash! The two entered the spiritual pond, causing a splash of water. Zixiao! Lu Changsheng raised his hand to signal, first taking out a spirit pill from his storage bag for Ling Zixiao to consume, to avoid any accidents during the process. He then called out with a serious voice, indicating that he was about to begin. Ling Zixiao, wrapping her arms around Lu Changsheng's neck and entwining his waist with her legs clad in sheer white stockings, responded. After watching for so long, she was already emotionally moved. Dragon Invocation Technique. Lu Changsheng firmly held the shapely waist of the beauty, took a deep breath, and activated the Dragon Invocation Technique. Chapter 523, Xiao Chan, Bring Your Master Over. As the Dragon Invocation Technique was activated, the Flood Dragon arrived inside Ling Zixiao's body, roaring at the Dragon Ball and tentatively seizing the Dragon Roar origin. Immediately, the slumbering dragon soul within the Dragon Ball was awakened, bursting forth with a commanding dragon cry, with an imposing aura in waves. Ugh! Ling Zixiao let out a muffled grunt, wrapping her arms around Lu Changsheng's neck. Zixiao, relax. Lu Changsheng knew that the process of seizing the Dragon Roar origin using the Dragon Invocation Technique was extremely painful for Ling Zixiao. In previous seizures of the origin source, Ling Zixiao was almost unconscious, nearly passing out. He gently stroked her smooth skin, helping her body to relax. Then, he activated his cultivation technique and infused the profound Yin Jade liquid into the spiritual pond. After a moment, the profound Yin Jade liquid near the Flood Dragon transformed into a black phoenix bird. Screech! The phoenix bird, upon seeing the Dragon Ball, cried out, spread its wings, and dove towards it, swallowing the golden Dragon Ball into its stomach. In an instant, the boiling turbulence of the spiritual pond began to subside. Could the effect be this good? Lu Changsheng was pleasantly surprised to see the profound Yin Jade liquid instantly suppress the Dragon Roar origin. He had guessed that the profound Yin Jade liquid could subdue the Dragon Roar physique. But he hadn't expected the effect to be this remarkable. Immediately, he operated the Dragon Invocation Technique, letting the Flood Dragon roar and begin to snatch the Dragon Roar origin. Ling Zixiao's body tensed as the dragon and phoenix struggled, with the Flood Dragon seizing the Dragon Pearl essence. Her fair skin glowed pink and became covered with a layer of fine sweat droplets. This was also one of the reasons Lu Changsheng brought Ling Zixiao to the spiritual pond. Although the spiritual energy in the pond wasn't particularly dense, it still had some nourishing effects. It could slightly alleviate the pain of the backlash from the Dragon Roar physique. Roar! Under the Flood Dragon's seizure, a strand of golden Dragon Roar origin slowly emerged from the Dragon Ball and the black phoenix bird's body. But immediately, the Dragon Ball, suppressed by the phoenix bird, started to violently thrash, and the dragon's soul roared ferociously, almost bursting out. The black phoenix bird, facing the situation, also flapped its wings and issued continuous cries, attempting to suppress the Dragon Ball. However, this was the Dragon Soul's territory within the spiritual pond after all, where the Dragon Soul held sway. Even though the Phoenix Bird was stronger than the Dragon Soul at the moment, it couldn't easily suppress the Dragon Ball. Suddenly, a fierce struggle between the dragon and the phoenix commenced. The just calmed spiritual pond, at this moment, began to roil and boil once again. Seize! Lu Changsheng dared not hesitate. He knew that it was better to endure short-term pain than to prolong the suffering. The Flood Dragon roared, ready to swallow the strand of Dragon Roar origin in one gulp. All at once, it seemed as if raging waves surged within Ling Zixiao, roaring continuously. Bring the elixir! Seeing this scene, Lu Changsheng knew that even with the profound Yin Jade liquid suppression, the Dragon Roar physique would still cause some backlash. Moreover, Ling Zixiao was already in a weakened state. The seizure of the origin source by himself also caused certain damage to Ling Zixiao herself. He reached out with a large hand and took out a bottle of elixir medicines and a stack of talismans from the storage bag, applying them to Ling Zixiao. These were prepared by him specifically for Ling Zixiao. Ugh, under the power of the elixir medicines and talismans, Ling Zixiao's condition instantly stabilized a great deal. Her willow brows relaxed, she exhaled a breath of turbid air, and her tense, delicate body gradually loosened, trembling slightly. Dragon Invocation Technique. Lu Changsheng firmly supported her slender willow waist with both hands and called out softly. He let the flood dragon swallow the golden origin source in front of it. After swallowing a strand of dragon roar origin, the flood dragon did not leave. Instead, it roared at the dragon ball and continued to snatch dragon roar origin. Within the black phoenix bird, the dragon soul let out a mournful cry, and another strand of golden origin source slowly emerged. Now with the profound Yin Jade liquid suppressing the dragon roar physique, Lu Changxing naturally could not, like the first time, hastily snatch just a strand of dragon roar origin. He needed to seize as much of Ling Zixiao's dragon roar origin as possible. After all, once this opportunity passed, there would be no such shop to find. This surge of profound Yin Jade liquid was not eternal. In the process of suppression, the profound Yin Jade liquid was also being consumed. Once the profound Yin Jade liquid was fully expended, it would be difficult for him to plunder the dragon roar origin like this. Additionally, there was a limited supply of elixir medicines and talismans he had prepared for Ling Zixiao. Once the power of the elixir medicines and talismans faded, he would have to rely on himself to stabilize Ling Zixiao's condition. And currently, Ling Zixiao's body was still in recovery, in a state of weakness. To solely rely on him to stabilize her condition through the yin-yang nirvana art and the life extension technique was far too difficult. Moreover, there was Nangong Meili waiting for him to come to her rescue. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon and phoenix kept roaring, fighting, as if to shatter the entire secluded pond. The flood dragon, meanwhile, took the opportunity to keep snatching the dragon roar origin. 1 strand, 2 strands, 3 strands. Strand after strand of dragon roar origin was snatched and swallowed by the flood dragon. Lu Lang. When the flood dragon snatched the 8th strand of dragon roar origin, Ling Zixiao's complexion turned from pale to a bit ghastly pale. Her entire body trembled as if she had been electrocuted, her voice weak and trembling. "It's okay now, it's all right." Lu Changxing gently stroked the beauty and quickly spoke to comfort her. He knew that he couldn't continue to draw more from her. Ling Zixiao's condition was too weak at the moment. The plundering of the dragon roar origin caused her significant harm. If too much origin was plundered at once, it could severely damage her foundation. Later, even if the dragon roar physique issue was resolved, she would face the problem of a damaged foundation, making it difficult to make any progress. Dragon Invocation Technique. Lu Changxing immediately operated the Dragon Invocation Technique and took all 8 strands of the dragon roar origin into his body. Boom, boom, boom. No sooner had the 8 strands of dragon roar origin entered his body than they rushed about chaotically. This caused Lu Changxing's body to surge with blood and mana, and a muffled grunt escaped from his mouth. The initial single strand of origin had not caused him any harm. But now, suddenly absorbing 8 strands of the dragon roar origin, it had a certain impact on him. Chapter 524. Xiaochan, bring your master over. However, this shock remained within a tolerable range. 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. Lu Changxing activated his cultivation technique as his blood and mana surged, suppressing the dragon roar origin within his body. The next moment, the yin-yang energies in the Qi Ocean core, transformed into little yin-yang fish, swiftly swam over. With a whoosh, they swallowed a strand of dragon roar origin and began to refine it. As Lu Changxing stopped plundering the dragon roar origin, Ling Zixiao's eyes opened and closed amidst a spring-like, mesmerizing haze, her movements languid and seductive, and her voice was no longer filled with such pain. Under the gentle comfort, her voice at times lofty, sometimes melodious, at times seductive, and at times soft. Meng Xiaochan, not far away, blushed and palpitated at the sound of these tender moans. Watching the splash of the water constantly splashing in the spiritual pool. She didn't understand why the elegantly composed, dignified and graceful Ling Zixiao would make such sounds at this moment. Moreover, even though the voice sounded extremely painful, it seemed to contain hints of joy. She pursed her lips, refusing to watch this scene. Discarding distractions, she came to one side, eyes on the nose on the heart, to check on her master's condition. Although she had great confidence and trust in Lu Changxing, still, she couldn't help worrying about her master's situation in her heart. Through checking, she could see that a stream of pure origin essence was flowing slowly within Nangong Mili's body, nourishing her physical meridians. However, this origin essence was still too scarce compared to Nangong Mili's current condition. If this continues, I believe Master will be able to wake up and recover, she pondered. Subconsciously, she glanced at Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao in the spiritual pool. Splash, 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 splash. The night waters were shrouded in mist, with a gentle breeze blowing, crisp sounds along with the splashing of the water. Under the bashful moon and starlight, ripples spread across the water, a myriad of enchanting scenes not meant for outsiders. Rumble rumble, Yin Yang Nirvana art. Dragon roar origin and primordial Yin essence within Lu Changxing surged wildly. His 100 refinements treasure body art and 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture were operating rapidly, continuing to elevate. He paid no attention to his own improvement, but focused on Ling Zixiao, who was nearly unconscious amid her confused awareness. Supporting the beautiful woman's waist, he began to use the Yin-Yang Nirvana art to alleviate her pain and stabilize her condition. Speaking of which, the tender embrace technique can allow the fusion of primordial Yin and Yang. I wonder if the dragon roar origin and the profound Yin jade liquid can also merge? Lu Changxing tightly held her slender waist, maintaining the rhythm, and looking at the profound Yin jade liquid in Ling Zixiao's body, he thought about his own Yin-Yang energies. If the two origins could merge, perhaps there might be unexpected benefits. No sooner said than done. After stabilizing Ling Zixiao's condition with the Yin-Yang Nirvana art, he began to activate the tender embrace technique. He attempted to fuse a portion of the profound Yin jade liquid with dragon roar origin. Under the operation of the cultivation technique, the two origins slowly began to merge. However, they could not achieve a perfect fusion like the primordial Yang and Yin, hence creating 1 from 2 and 2 from 3. As expected, it won't work, he said with a slight shake of his head. Lu Changxing knew it wasn't just a match of 1 Yang origin and 1 Yin origin that could merge. The merging of the Great Sun essence and Tai Yin Moon radiance was solely due to the spirit-nurturing energy obtained from a core formation girl. Otherwise, these Yin-Yang energies would absolutely not have formed. Pity that there's only a tiny wisp of spirit-nurturing energy, he lamented. If I had more of this spirit-nurturing energy, perhaps the dragon roar origin and profound Yin jade liquid could integrate in a Yin-Yang fusion, Lu Changxing mused. He then continued to pay attention to the enhancement of the Yin-Yang energies, refine the primordial Yin essence, and heal alongside Ling Zixiao through dual cultivation. Now with the replenishment from dragon roar origin, profound Yin jade liquid, and primordial Yin essence, his whole being was brimming with vitality and energy. Seeing Meng Xiaochan with a flushed face, nurturing Nangong Mili's body, he called out, "Xiaochan, bring your master over here, outside Qingzhou Mountain." Boom boom boom. Yu Jinyang, Yu Yuanshan, and Yu Ningjuan, 3 foundation establishment cultivators, were persistently attacking the foundation establishment area of Qingzhou Valley. During this time, they were not attacking non-stop. To avoid excessive mana consumption and risking the Lu family activating the Great Formation in desperation, they stopped to rest and recover their mana periodically. But as soon as they felt recovered, they would resume the harassment and assault. After 7 days, the hearts of everyone in the Lu family were shrouded in a deep gloom. After all, to launch such an assault and harassment on Qingzhou Mountain was like rudely defecating on their heads, an extreme provocation. Yet, faced with such brazen challenge, they dared not retaliate and could only endure the harassment. Boom boom boom. After 7 days of harassment, The trio's attacks grew increasingly ferocious. Eugene Yang, the leader, even brought out a golden mountain-like large magic artifact, continuously bombarding the formation, causing immense noise and commotion. Just then, boom! Over Qingzhou Valley, the swirling spiritual energy vortex suddenly shook violently as if a dam had broken, collapsing with a thunderous crash. The spiritual energy vortex has collapsed. This means a foundation establishment failure. Ha! Yuningjuan saw the dispersion of the spiritual energy vortex inside Qingzhou Mountain and immediately relished the disaster with a hearty laugh. In this expedition against the Xiahou clan, he successfully established his foundation using a foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spirit objects he had exchanged for with his family's contributions. Whereas the foundation establishment hopefuls of the Lu family had failed, which brought him great joy. Foundation establishment failure, Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain's fate has run out. Eugene Yang beheld the sight, his authoritative visage betraying a smile as he stroked his snow-white beard. Chapter 525. Xiaochan, bring your master over. He immediately turned to Yu Yuanshan and Yu Ningjuan and said, now that the Lu family has failed in foundation establishment, we can go back. Yes, ancestor. A smile also appeared on Yu Yuanshan's face as he nodded. The failure of the Lu family in foundation establishment indicated that things would proceed according to their family's plan. As long as the Zheng family ancestor, Lu Yuanzhong, was dead, those two spiritual lands, along with the Red Leaf Valley Market, would fall into the hands of their Yu family. By then, relying on the resources of these spiritual lands, their Yu family would be able to rise even further. Yes, ancestor. Yu Ningjuan originally wanted to go and see the faces of the Lu family cultivators, to mock and ridicule them. But he remembered that their purpose in coming here was to harass while concealing their identities. Although it was likely that the Lu family and other clan forces could guess that it was their doing, such matters should not be brought into the open. Otherwise, it would look too ugly. Moreover, the Lu family ancestor, Lu Yunzhong, was not yet dead. If he were driven to desperation and flipped the table, laying a hidden trap to kill their Yu family disciples, it would cause a lot of trouble. Immediately, the three of them took one last look at Qingzhou Mountain, confirming that the foundation establishment had failed. They then transformed into escape lights and left the territory of Qingzhou Mountain. Within Qingzhou Mountain, the spiritual energy vortex has dispersed. This is a failed breakthrough. Damn it, if it weren't for these three foundation establishment great cultivators constantly disrupting and harassing us, how could this have happened? Is this the heavens wanting to destroy our Lu family? The family has elder Yuan Zhong and uncle Changxing, who is a second-grade talisman master. There's still a chance to continue nurturing for foundation establishment in the future. The Lu family members saw the dispersal of the spiritual energy vortex above Qingzhou Valley and all had unsightly expressions, feeling heavy-hearted. Knowing the dispersal of the spiritual energy vortex signified that the foundation establishment had failed. Ancestor, I have failed your expectations, I've let the family down. Lu Miaofeng walked out of the secret chamber weakly, his eyes bloodshot and voice hoarse. Failure in foundation establishment, even after consuming a foundation establishment elixir, caused him a certain amount of injury. Sigh, this is not your fault. Lu Yuanzhong's face seemed to age a lot all at once. Looking at the younger generation in front of him, he deeply sighed. He was someone who had been through it all. He knew the difficulty of foundation establishment, especially when the entire family's survival and future were all on one's shoulders. This pressure, burden, and responsibility were truly too heavy. Back then, he had a good environment to concentrate on breaking through foundation establishment. But for Lu Miaofeng, this foundation establishment elixir not only carried the future survival of the family, it also embodied his high hopes and the sacrifice made by Lu Miaoge. With all those psychological pressures, and coupled with the disturbance from external enemies, it was natural for his mental and emotional state to be affected. And for breaking through bottlenecks and realms, the state of one's essence, energy, and spirit are all very important. Lu Changxing, preparing for his foundation establishment breakthrough, Took nearly half a month to adjust his state even in a nearly sure-win situation. Ancestor. Paying respects to the ancestor. Ancestor, Miao Feng, Fenger. At this time, Lu Yuanding, Lu Miaoge, and other Lu family elders and core members came to the depths of Qingzhou Valley to pay respects to Lu Yuanzhong and to visit Lu Miaofeng. At this moment, they were all heavy-hearted. The other Lu family disciples were not aware of Lu Yuanzhong's condition. Being Lu family elders and part of the core leadership, they naturally knew that Lu Yuanzhong was now in a bad state with not much life left. Now that Lu Miaofeng had failed in foundation establishment, within 10 years, they would be powerless to gather the wealth needed to obtain another foundation establishment elixir and to cultivate for foundation establishment. All the elders, Sister Miaoge, I've failed to meet your expectations, I've let the family down. Seeing everyone, Lu Miaofeng clasped his hands into fists, veins popping, biting his lips until they bled red, and bowed deeply with a hoarse voice. He knew the family had spent much cost and effort on this foundation establishment elixir and 3 foundation establishment spiritual objects. But now, with his failed foundation establishment, all these costs and efforts had turned into ash. Miaofeng, you should rest well now, do not hurt your body and affect your foundation. Lu Yuanzhong, seeing Lu Miaofeng in this state, sighed softly and had someone take Lu Miaofeng away to rest. Although with the protection of a foundation establishment elixir, failure in foundation establishment would not pose any major issues. Without proper recuperation and cultivation, it could still affect his foundation. Especially with Lu Miaofeng's current mental state, which obviously had some problems. If not adjusted, it could even lead to a heart demon. The Lu family's current high-level combat power was already scant, with no successors. If Lu Miaofeng were to suffer another mishap, it would be another great loss for the Lu family. Yes, ancestor. Elders, Miaofeng is taking his leave. Knowing his current state was very bad, Lu Miaofeng, with a pallid complexion, nodded slightly and bowed before excusing himself. Now that Miaofeng has failed in foundation establishment, in the upcoming time, consolidate and integrate the family business and dispose of the smaller businesses. After Lu Miaofeng had left, Lu Yuanzhong looked at Lu Yuanding, Lu Miaochang and the others, and spoke out. It sounded very much like he was preparing the family for future contingencies. Yes. The others, upon hearing Lu Yuanzhong's words, all looked heavy-hearted and troubled. Ancestor, I am now at the peak of the 9th level energy refinement. In a few months, once I refine my mana to be smooth and satisfactory, I can attempt foundation establishment. At this moment, Lu Miaoge said with her lips pursed. She had broken through to the 9th level energy refinement 6 years ago. It was only because she switched to cultivating the Saturn Solar Sword technique that she delayed her progress in cultivation. It's not possible. As soon as she spoke, Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding immediately objected. Miaoge, if there is no foundation establishment elixir, attempting foundation establishment is extremely dangerous without guarantee and absolutely not something to try lightly. Lu Yuanzhong looked at Lu Miaoge and said in a grave voice. Apart from coordinating the 3 phases of foundation establishment and increasing the chances of success, a foundation establishment elixir also protects the meridians and dantian. Otherwise, a failure in foundation establishment could lead, at the lightest, to injury and regression in cultivation level. Chapter 526, Xiaochan, bring your master over. For the repercussions could be severe, causing damage to the energy channels and rendering one crippled or even leading to death. Lu Miaoge was not only one of the Lu family's top combat power. She was also a first-grade top-level talisman master, in the process of breaking through to the 2nd grade. The Lu family absolutely would not allow her to attempt to break through to foundation establishment without a foundation establishment elixir. Seeing this, Lu Miaoge gently nodded her head, without speaking a word. Miaoge, Changsheng should be back soon, right? At this time, Lu Yuanding asked Lu Miaoge. The situation of the Lu family was not good, morale was low. If Lu Changxing, the 2nd grade talisman master, were present to preside over the clan, it could serve as a deterrent and stabilize the people's hearts and morale. Moreover, with Lu Changsheng's guidance, Lu Miaoge would be able to advance to a second-grade talisman master even faster. If the Lu family had another second-grade talisman master to preside over them, relying on the talisman path, it might be possible to acquire another foundation establishment elixir within a few years. Changxing mentioned he'd be out for a year, he should be back soon. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge's lips slightly pursed as she couldn't help but miss Lu Changxing in her heart. She felt that with Lu Changxing by her side, her heart would be peaceful and much more at ease. Yes, the outside world is not calm either. I've heard that some of the Xiahou family members who escaped have turned into demon cultivators, causing havoc. A few small families were attacked not long ago. Lu Yuanding nodded his head, sighed slightly, his face filled with worry. The mountaintop was shrouded in a hazy morning mist, stirring without wind. The spiritual pond was still rippling, continuously undulating, accompanied by a crisp sound. After days and nights of hard work during this period, Lu Changsheng's physical body, along with his mana nourished by the vital essence, the dragon roar origin, and the profound Yin Jade liquid, had reached the peak of the third level of foundation establishment. Precious light flowed all around his body, encircled by spiritual light, undulating like waves, one after another. Boom! At that moment, the liquid mana in his Qi Ocean core expanded to the limit of the initial stage of foundation establishment. The seven luminaries' great freedom sword scripture began operating automatically, initiating the breakthrough. He was facing the bottleneck from the initial stage of foundation establishment to the middle stage. Feeling the threshold of the breakthrough challenge, the yin-yang small fish inside Lu Changxing, while refining the dragon roar origin and the profound Yin Jade liquid, surged into the core lake in his dantian, causing the lake's water to roil. Simultaneously, the spiritual pressure from the outside increased, and massive amounts of spiritual energy swept toward Lu Changxing to converge upon him. Boom, boom, boom. Under the influence of the yin-yang energies and the spiritual energy, the core lake whipped up waves and towering billows that lashed out against the yin-yang five elements foundation base. The bottleneck that trapped countless people, before Lu Changxing, was effortlessly and naturally broken through. The mana spirit lake expanded significantly in an instant, with droplets of liquid mana forming. The Dao Foundation's jade platform burst forth with spiritual light, crystal clear and appearing more solid and powerful. This is another breakthrough. By the side of the spiritual pond, with a pale face and wearing a blue dress, knees held by folded arms, Ling Zixiao sensed the tumult. She turned her head towards the pond where Lu Changxing, pressed by Nangong Meili, showed an expression of surprise on her face. It hadn't been long since Lu Changsheng's previous breakthrough, and now he had broken through again. But thinking of Nangong Meili's profound Yin charming body, she came to a realization. The profound Yin Jade liquid could help break through bottlenecks during core formation. For foundation establishment cultivators, it naturally had great benefits, such as enhancing cultivation level and breaking through bottlenecks. But this cultivation level, it isn't the late stage of foundation establishment, it's the middle stage? Ling Zixiao sensed the might of this mana and spiritual pressure, discerned Lu Changsheng's true cultivation level, and was slightly startled with an incredulous look on her face. Previously, she had always thought Lu Changxing was at the middle stage of foundation establishment. She hadn't expected that Lu Changxing had just broken through to the middle stage. That is to say, before this Lu Changsheng's cultivation level was only at the second level. Thinking of how Lu Changxing, with merely foundation establishment second-level cultivation, managed to kill 5 foundation establishment cultivators. And among them, one was the renowned purple-robed wanderer from Jiuxiao Immortal City. For a moment, Ling Zixiao didn't know what to say. Such combat prowess and strength were simply outrageous. In her many years at Jiuxiao Immortal City, she had never heard of such a person. Even the heavenly sword-wielding true disciples of the renowned Heavenly Sword sect perhaps didn't possess such fighting power. If this achievement were to be known, Lu Changsheng's name would likely become famous immediately. However, such a matter, when it comes to him, seems quite reasonable. Ling Zixiao watched Lu Changxing, thought about his various performances, and murmured to herself in her heart. She felt that this level of power was not unacceptable. After all, he had long ago ceased to be measured by ordinary standards. Had it not been for Lu Changsheng's usual demeanor and actions, which didn't really resemble that of an old monster reincarnating by seizing a body, she would have been tempted to suspect that Lu Changsheng was an old nascent soul monster reincarnated. Meng Xiaochan, who was meditating with her eyes closed nearby, sensed this spiritual pressure and aura. She opened her beautiful eyes, somewhat surprised as she looked towards Lu Changsheng. She didn't expect Lu Changsheng to have broken through to the middle stage of foundation establishment already. Although she didn't know when Lu Changsheng had made his breakthrough to foundation establishment, she knew that she had been a few years ahead of him. Having been nurtured by the Five Poisons cult and Nangong Meili, her current cultivation level was still in the third level of foundation establishment. But now, Lu Changsheng had made the breakthrough to the middle stage before her. As expected of Lu Lang. Meng Xiaochan looked at Lu Changsheng, her eyes full of admiration and joy. She felt happy for Lu Changsheng and somewhat proud. After all, it seemed she had a bit of credit for him being able to break through so effortlessly, right? However, when she saw that Lu Changsheng seemed to be looking towards her, she immediately closed her eyes, pursed her lips, and pretended not to notice. Before, Lu Changsheng had asked her to help hold onto the master, and then, it had caused an unprecedented impact on her Dao heart. She was afraid that Lu Changsheng would continue to ask her to help hold the master again. Chapter 527. Xiaochan, bring your master over. Understand? Indeed, diligent practice pales in comparison to fortuitous opportunities. This is the true way to cultivate. Lu Changsheng, seeing how easily he had broken through to the middle stage of foundation establishment, showed a faint smile on his face and sighed with emotion. In order to break through to the middle stage of foundation establishment more quickly, he had refined many elixirs suitable for the early stage of foundation establishment to advance his cultivation level. But at this moment, they were basically unnecessary. Now that I've broken through to the middle stage of foundation establishment and have the profound origin bead at my side, I can easily defeat cultivators at the middle stage of foundation establishment, and I can even start to use magical treasures, Lu Changsheng contemplated as he looked at the profound origin bead circling above his dantian. The small realm from the second level to the third level of foundation establishment didn't offer a significant improvement. However, breaking through from the early to the middle stage of foundation establishment had almost doubled his mana. With such an increase, amplified by the profound origin bead, his mana was almost comparable to that of a cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment. A cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment could barely use magical treasures. But because of the high consumption and the high cost of magical treasures, very few in the late stage of foundation establishment would use them. At most, they would use the embryos of magical treasures. However, Lu Changsheng had the profound origin bead at his side. Not only was the increase in mana comparable to the late stage, but he could also store 10 times more mana. This allowed him to be more extravagant than other cultivators. It's a pity that my 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock is a high-grade magical treasure. Right now I can only stimulate a lower-grade magical treasure at most. Lu Changsheng thought of the 100 Steeds Towering Pagoda Lock in his system space, which he had not yet taken out. But this magical treasure was a high-grade treasure, something he couldn't stimulate at his current level. Immediately afterward, he extended his divine sense. He discovered that the limit of his divine sense had astonishingly increased to 230 zhang. He had surpassed even those who had just broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. After briefly checking the details of his breakthrough, Lu Changsheng rubbed the smooth and full mounds of snow and circulated his cultivation technique to end the dual cultivation therapy. In her coma, Nangong Meili's brows tightened, her dainty nose was covered in sweat droplets, her juicy lips parted slightly, exhaling an alluring, unconscious moan as soft as orchid breaths. Pop! Lu Changsheng let go of the graceful Nangong Meili and prepared to consolidate his cultivation realm. Despite engaging in dual cultivation day and night, even with him cultivating the 100 Refinements treasure body art, his body tough as iron, and nourished with essence, the dragon roar origin, and the profound Yin Jade liquid, he still felt fatigue. Moderation was key to ensure lasting progress. He sent out his divine sense to check Nangong Mili's current condition, to see how effective his efforts during these days had been. The state of her physical frailty has almost alleviated. Her meridians and dantian are withered and strained, but with gradual nourishment, they should also not be a problem. It's just this true elixir, still dim and lusterless, without the slightest change. Lu Changsheng looked at the condition inside Nangong Mili and frowned slightly. With such prolonged dual cultivation, Nangong Mili's condition had indeed improved a lot. Probably after some more time, she should be able to wake up. But as for the recovery of her true elixir cultivation level, it would probably still be difficult. Forget it, as long as she can wake up, that's enough. I'm just a Foundation Establishment junior cultivator. How could I understand the condition of a nascent soul immortal? Lu Changsheng exhaled lightly and shook his head. He held the fragrant soft jade in his arms and walked out of the spiritual pool. It had to be said that Nangong Mili was truly a peerless beauty. After many days of dual cultivation, he had yet to reach a sage-like state. He still found Nangong Mili in his arms to be incredibly alluring, endlessly enchanting. He was somewhat looking forward to the dual cultivation healing after Nangong Mili awakened. Lu Lang, seeing that Lu Changsheng had finally stopped, Ling Zixiao let out a sigh of relief and approached with concern. After all, Lu Changsheng had been healing Nangong Mili, then had resolved his own issue with the dragon roar physique, before proceeding to heal both of them together. Throughout it all, he hardly had any rest. Lu Lang, seeing this scene, Meng Xiaochan also immediately went forward with a worried expression. I have just had a breakthrough and need to consolidate my cultivation realm. Xiaochan, watch over your master for me. After I consolidate my cultivation, I'll continue healing your master. Lu Changsheng spoke. All right, thank you, Lu Lang. Hearing this, Meng Xiaochan immediately nodded and responded, taking her master into her own arms from Lu Changsheng's embrace. Lu Changsheng turned to Ling Zixiao and asked with concern, Zixiao, are you all right now? After their recent session, Ling Zixiao's condition had returned to an extremely weakened state, needing further care, but he was still unclear about the current status of her dragon roar physique. I'm fine, my husband, you should focus on consolidating your cultivation, Ling Zixiao said with a smile, indicating that her concern was not urgent. All right. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng nodded and sat down with his eyes closed to consolidate his cultivation. Chapter 528. Nurturing the True Elixir with Yin-Yang Energies, Nangong Mili Wakes Up. _1 Lu Changsheng sat cross-legged, circulating the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. He used the remaining primordial Yin vital energy and profound Yin jade liquid inside his body to consolidate his cultivation level. After days of dual cultivation and refining, very little of the primordial Yin vital energy and profound Yin jade liquid remained. It was no longer sufficient to support his continued breakthrough. Nevertheless, Lu Changsheng was satisfied with advancing from the 2nd level to the 4th level of Foundation Establishment. After all, most of his profound Yin Jade liquid was used to suppress the dragon roar physique and nourish the Yin-Yang energies. As the cultivation technique was fully activated, 7 elegant yet fierce strands of sword qi emerged from Lu Changsheng's body, swirling around him and exuding a sharp and piercing aura. Is this a sword cultivator? Lu Lang is actually a sword cultivator? Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan looked at each other with a mix of surprise and speculation upon seeing Lu Changsheng meditate and regulate his breathing. The sharp and domineering sword qi mana convinced them that Lu Changsheng was a sword cultivator. Yet Lu Changsheng's usual demeanor, behavior, and combat methods did not resemble those of a sword cultivator at all. They thought to themselves, could it be that Lu Changsheng practiced sword techniques simply because he happened to possess an excellent sword scripture? Just how many secrets does he have? Ling Zixiao gazed at the meditating Lu Changsheng. Then, supporting her cheek with her hand, she studied his handsome features. Usually, Lu Changsheng appeared gentle and refined, with a calm and detached demeanor. Like an orchid or a noble pine, his presence was indescribably comfortable and soothing, as though one was basking in the spring breeze. However, Now as he fully activated the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword chi, his entire person revealed a sharp edge, and his eyes seemed to carry an additional hint of cold arrogance and dominance. Is this his true appearance? Ling Zixiao silently pondered. In her presence, Lu Changsheng always behaved with genteel refinement, much like a modest gentleman. This made her feel uneasy. After all, she believed that a genius like Lu Changsheng should naturally be very proud. In her view, this current sharp and arrogantly dominant demeanor was more fitting for Lu Changsheng's temperament. Boom, boom, boom. Unaware of the women's thoughts, Lu Changsheng fully activated the sword scripture, and mana surged through his body like a raging river. He also turned his mental spirit inward, inspecting his own Qi Ocean core and Yin-Yang 5 elements foundation base. In his opinion, the greatest enhancement from this breakthrough wasn't his cultivation level, but the foundation. After the Yin-Yang energies devoured and refined the 8 strands of Dragon Roar origin, they also consumed and refined a considerable amount of profound Yin Jade liquid. Now, the Yin-Yang energies resembled 2 distinct Yin and Yang fish. Previously, the Yin-Yang energies would only merge into one to form a Yin-Yang fish when they were engaged in action. But now, in a normal state, they were nearly forming into little fish. The Yin-Yang little fish circled the 5-colored Dao platform to the east, emanating an inexplicable charm. My Dao foundation has become about 20% more robust than before. If my Yin-Yang energies can progress further and fully transform into Yin-Yang fish, my Dao foundation will undergo some sort of metamorphosis. Lu Changsheng quietly experienced his Dao foundation and pondered in his heart. He felt that as long as he devours and refines enough Yin-Yang origin source, the Yin-Yang energies will completely transform into Yin-Yang fish. At that time, his Dao foundation would experience some kind of metamorphosis. As to what the metamorphosis would entail, he was not clear. But deep down, he had such a feeling. However, Yin-Yang origin source is exceedingly rare. I am already fortunate to have obtained so much of it. To allow the Yin-Yang energies to devour enough Yin-Yang origin source and undergo metamorphosis will likely be very difficult. Lu Changsheng knew just how scarce this type of Yin-Yang origin source was, and did not cling to expectations. 9 days later. Huff! Lu Changsheng opened his eyes and expelled a turbulent breath, like a sword, stabilizing his cultivation realm. Congratulations to Lu Lang on breaking through to the middle stage of foundation establishment. Congratulations to Lu Lang on the great improvement of your mana. The 2 women beside the spiritual pond saw Lu Changsheng awaken and immediately smiled, offering their congratulations. Hee, it's just a minor improvement, Lu Changsheng said with a light laugh. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to break through. For Lu Changsheng, waking up to care and congratulations felt rather pleasant. The path of cultivation is cold and lonely. One should be accompanied by a partner and a beloved. If on the path of cultivation one seeks only immortality and cultivates alone to the end, accompanied only by loneliness, what is the point? Zixiao, how are you feeling now? Lu Changsheng, flanked by the 2 women, sat down and inquired about Ling Zixiao's condition. He wanted to know how her Dragon Roar physique was after the extraction of the 8 strands of the Dragon Roar origin. My Dragon Roar physique is currently suppressed, but I feel that once I start cultivating, the Dragon Roar physique will still recover, said Ling Zixiao, her face pale and weak, with a hint of breathlessness. Now, as long as she takes good care of her body and refrains from cultivation, the Dragon Roar physique would remain stable. There would not be problems of scorching yang energy or withered meridians and dantian. Zixiao, rest assured, they'll find a way to completely resolve your Dragon Roar physique, Lu Changsheng reassured her with a warm voice and a nod. If before he felt that Ling Zixiao's condition was very thorny, now, with the Dragon Roar physique subdued through the profound Yin Jade liquid, he was confident in resolving the Dragon Roar physique. Once he returns, as long as Lu Miaoge cultivates the Water of Virtue technique to use the Tai True Water to adjust Ling Zixiao's body, to rejuvenate her frail body and withered meridians and dantian, then it would be possible to gradually resolve it through the Dragon Invocation technique. Then, not only would Ling Zixiao's foundation establishment strength recover, but she would also be able to continue cultivating. Furthermore, an idea formed in Lu Changsheng's mind. Since the dragon roar physique was so tenacious and capable of self-healing recovery, could he perhaps not completely eradicate Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique? Chapter 529. Nurturing the True Elixir with Yin-Yang Energies, Nangong Meili wakes up. Maintaining the balance of Ling Zixio's dragon roar physique was essential to assist his cultivation. Meanwhile, Lu Changsheng could use the dragon invocation technique to continually seize the dragon roar origin source and enhance his yin-yang energies. Of course, this was just an idea Lu Changsheng had. The feasibility of it would still need to wait until Ling Zixio's condition was resolved, after which he could ask for her opinion. After chatting with Ling Zixiao for a while, Lu Changsheng told her to rest well and then started to chat leisurely with Meng Xiaochan. Their relationship was one with a mixture of gratitude and grudges, and they didn't know much about each other. Now that she was going to be the mother of his child, there was no escaping that fact. It was natural for the two of them to get to know each other a little better and to develop their relationship. Lu Changsheng held Meng Xiaochan in his arms. He asked about the mission and chatted about Jin Kingdom and the Five Poisons cult. While he knew about these matters in general terms, he definitely didn't know as much as Meng Xiaochan. Moreover, when chatting, it's always necessary to find some topics to talk about. Facing Lu Changsheng's initiative, Meng Xiaochan felt a bit shy. But still, she snuggled cutely against him and answered in a gentle whisper. Lu Changsheng found Meng Xiaocan's demeanor very adorable and pinched her delicate and fair face. During this time, he had been in close contact with Ling Zixiao and Nangong Meili. Both women had tall, voluptuous figures. Especially Nangong Meili. Her figure was sinuous and enticing, ripe and juicy like a peach, irresistibly tempting. Holding Meng Xiaochan, who had the delicate body of a young girl, offered a different but equally delightful flavor. As they chatted lazily, Lu Changsheng learned a bit about Jin Kingdom's culture and customs, as well as its 3 great demon sections. He grasped some of the differences between the two countries. The Immortal sects of Jiang Country and the Demon Path sects of Jin Kingdom had their distinctions. Shiyu, I'm going to check on your master's condition, Lu Changsheng said. After chatting for a while, Lu Changsheng saw Nangong Meili at his side, dressed in a purple dress that made her slender figure infinitely tempting. Although Meng Xiaochan was reluctant to leave Lu Changsheng's embrace, she wouldn't forget about her master because of it. Lu Changsheng stood up, took hold of Nangong Meili's wrist, and checked her condition. During these days, Meng Xiaochan had used her mana and elixir medicines to nurture her master's physical body and meridians. Even though it wasn't very effective, it still made some difference. After examining her condition, Lu Changsheng lifted her skirt and began to heal her through massage. A light breeze rustled, and 2 or 3 fallen leaves were carried by the wind into the tranquil spirit pond, creating ripples. After a long time, the wind picked up again. A tall pine tree nearby swayed in the wind, making a rustling sound. Several pine cones fell with a clatter, dropping into the pond and splashing little waves. Several days later, Lu Changsheng, as usual, checked on Nangong Meili's situation. Her physical body and meridians were being nurtured and had largely moved past the critical period. However, her Qi Ocean core and true elixir remained dull and lacked luster. By the way, could my yin-yang energies have an effect on a nascent soul immortal's true elixir? Lu Changsheng wondered as he looked at Nangong Meili's true elixir. His yin-yang energies could cleanse and repair others' Dao foundations. Initially, Xiaoxiye's lunar primordial spirit foundation had a tiny crack in it. Under the baptism of his yin-yang energies, not only was it restored, but it also transformed into the lunar primordial spirit foundation. Lu Changsheng had hypothesized that the reason his treatment of Xiaoxiye's Dao foundation was so effective and resonant was partly because his yin-yang energies originated from her. Now, his yin-yang energies had also absorbed and refined Nangong Meili's profound yin jade liquid. Perhaps his yin-yang energies might have some additional effect on Nangong Meili. Moreover, the true elixir of a nascent soul immortal had some similarities with a foundation establishment cultivator's Dao foundation. Both were the foundation of a cultivator. If his yin-yang energies could cleanse a Dao foundation, perhaps they could have some effect on the true elixir as well? No sooner thought than done. Lu Changxing positioned her with her back to him, rubbing her snow-white bottom until it blushed like dawn. Then he transferred his yin-yang energies into Nangong Meili's body. He then embraced her limp body and sent his divine sense into her to observe the effect of the yin-yang energies, to see if they could have the desired effect on the true elixir as he had guessed. He saw his yin-yang energies swimming like two small fish slowly into Nangong Meili's Qi ocean core. They then gently made their way towards the dimly lit, purple true elixir. Along the way, a trace of yin-yang energies seeped into the dull true elixir. It actually works? Seeing this, Lu Changsheng's hand instinctively squeezed her abundant and soft body, feeling it flow through his fingers. He noticed that the yin-yang energies were nourishing the true elixir. But as for the effects, he wasn't sure. This was something probably only Nangong Meili herself would be aware of. He quietly observed the yin-yang energies nourishing the true elixir. Eventually, as the yin-yang energies were depleted, the once dull and lightless purple true elixir seemed to brighten a shade at that moment. It seems to have some effect. Unexpectedly, my yin-yang energies can actually nourish the true elixir, exclaimed Lu Changxing, somewhat surprised. He gained a new understanding of the effects of his yin-yang energies. Feeling his Dao foundation continuing to transform, he thought that in the future, his yin-yang energies might even be able to cleanse and repair a golden core. Pop! Then, he let go of the limp Nangong Meili in his arms. Moderation leads to endurance and a long journey ahead. Transferring his yin-yang energies into someone else's body didn't cause Lu Changxing too much loss. Chapter 530. Nurturing the true elixir with yin-yang energies, Nangong Meili wakes up. It would take about 10 days to half a month to recover. But relatively speaking, it still consumes a lot of mana and vital energy. Because the yin-yang energies are not an endless source, they also require consumption of one's own resources to replenish. Moreover, to be safe and to avoid Nangong Meili seeking revenge after waking up from his treatment, Lu Changxing still needed to maintain his condition as much as possible. Otherwise, after working tirelessly day and night, if he was in a weakened state and then Nangong Meili woke up and attacked him, wouldn't it be embarrassing? However, he had promised Meng Xiaochan to save a life. Having gained enough benefits himself, Lu Changxing naturally would fulfill his duty to save that person. After meditating to recuperate, chatting intimately with Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan to foster feelings, Lu Changxing continued healing and saving the person. Seeing that Nangong Meili had passed the critical period and had a certain capacity for self-healing, to help the other party recover consciousness sooner without affecting her foundation, Lu Changxing proceeded as planned. He performed the nirvana art, consuming his origin source energy to treat and organize the hidden injuries within Nangong Meili. Under the treatment of the nirvana art, Nangong Meili's thick long eyelashes fluttered slightly, her mouth parted to release a soft, charming sound. Lu Changxing, however, didn't pay much attention to this light moan. In these days, Nangong Meili often made unconscious moans. Nangong Meili's blurry consciousness began to awaken under Lu Changxing's intervention. Her beautiful brows furrowed slightly, her body stiffened, and her delicate nose emitted a series of whining sounds. The next moment, Nangong Meili's consciousness awakened. Her phoenix eyes gently opened, her pupils were hazy, and from her red lips came an alluring moan that could make one's bones go soft. "What are you doing?" Nangong Meili's hair was in disarray, her cheeks flushed red like the dawn, her eyelashes trembled, and the phoenix eyes that had just opened immediately showed shock and anger. A wave of indescribable panic rose in her heart. Her memory stayed at the moment when the core formation Immortal attacked. She had instructed her disciple, Meng Xiaochan, to use the teleportation talisman to escape. But now, facing such circumstances made her feel a surge of shock, anger, and panic. After all, she realized instantly that she was currently in a very weak state. Her limbs were limp, her graceful body lacking the strength to move. Her entire tall and exquisite body could only be shaken and jolted without the strength to struggle. Coming from the demon path, she was fully aware that being in such a situation, it would be extremely difficult for her to escape the danger. Master, you're awake. Just at this moment, a light and joyous voice rang out, startling Nangong Meili. It wasn't just her who fell into someone's evil clutches. Her disciple, Meng Xiaochan, was also in the same plight. Thinking of her current state and being manhandled in front of her disciple, Nangong Meili's body trembled with humiliation, and a murderous intent appeared in her eyes. You're awake so soon? Lu Changxing, seeing Nangong Meili awaken, was a bit surprised as well. Based on his examination, he had deduced that Nangong Meili would awake only after a few more rounds of treatment. He had not expected her to wake up now. Could it be due to the previous effects of the yin-yang energy's nurturing true elixir? Lu Changxing guessed inwardly. He also didn't care too much. When she awoke, she simply awoke. Lu Changxing remained silent for a moment before continuing to heal Nangong Meili's wounds. He then took her pale jade foot, which had a faint blush and pearl-like toes, into his palm, introducing a new method of treatment. Nangong Meili struggled subconsciously to resist. But the resistance was minimal. Whether it was due to a lack of strength or worry about being seen by her disciple, she could only allow the actions to proceed. And after a soft whimper, she bit her snowy white teeth tightly against her red lips. She didn't want to make a humiliating sound that might shame her in front of her disciple. Master, how are you feeling? Then, when Meng Xiaochan received no reply from her master, she continued to ask out of concern. "Ss." Lu Changxing could clearly feel that, with Meng Xiaocan's voice, Nangong Meili's whole body instantly tensed up, making him involuntarily gasp in shock as he was healing her. I'm fine. Nangong Meili's red lips moved slightly, her voice weak. But a sudden impact forced a long, charming moan from her mouth. In that instant, Nangong Meili trembled all over. A surge of humiliation and fury rose uncontrollably in the depths of her heart. She, a nascent soul immortal, one of the heaven spider emissary from the Five Poisons cult, one of the three great demon path sects of Jin Kingdom, how esteemed was her status? And at this moment, she was being humiliated and trampled upon like this. Nangong Meili's beautiful face was flushed red like rosy clouds, full of seduction. But her long, narrow phoenix eyes were ice-cold, filled with murderous intent. She wanted to flay the person behind her 1,000 times, tear his body into pieces, and imprison him in the goo pit to suffer the agonizing pain of 1,000 insects devouring his soul. Master, don't worry, Lu Lang is healing you. Meng Xiaochan, hearing the crackling sounds like dry firewood burning intensely beside her, assured her own master. Healing? Upon hearing this, Nangong Meili's heart skipped a beat. She wondered if her disciple was out of her mind. But the next moment, she could feel that indeed, along with Lu Changsheng's rhythm, an origin source of vital breath was slowly entering her body, healing her. However, this method of healing made Nangong Meili feel incredibly humiliated and enraged. Let go of me, I don't need you to heal me. Nangong Meili turned to look, her disheveled hair cascading over her creamy smooth shoulders as she spoke in a feeble voice. At this moment, the core formation master, whose beauty and allure were like a dream, had her fair complexion blushing and transparent, her charms rippling and ready to drip like water. Her misty, dreamlike phoenix eyes were indeed like captivating silk threads, possessing a magical charm that engulfed one completely. A few strands of sweat-dampened black hair clung to her pale cheeks, and her slightly parted lips added a pitiful yet enchanting allure to her appearance. In such a state, with her weak and charmingly melodious voice, she had not an ounce of authority. It was like an ordinary couple quarreling, as if saying, "I don't want to play with you anymore." Ss. Lu Changxing, looking at Nangong Meili's stunning beauty and dreamlike eyes, couldn't help but shiver with cold. Even though he was battle-hardened, facing the awakened Nangong Meili, he too felt somewhat unsteady. If it weren't for Xiao Chan's request, do you think I'd be willing to heal you? Lu Changxing took a deep breath, his energy sinking into his dantian, and raised his hand to strike the now crimson blushing white expanse before him, signaling her to settle down a bit. Chapter 531. How is there an extra child? The slap left Nangong Meili's delicate and enchanting face in shock, her phoenix-like eyes displaying an incredulous hue. She had never expected Lu Changxing to dare treat her this way. Such humiliation, trampling over her dignity. Her fragrant and sweaty body trembled incessantly, pale and weak, and her seductive and charming face was somewhat twisted, with cold, murderous intent flashing in her eyes. However, upon glancing back at Lu Changxing, facing such humiliation actually made her heart pound violently, stirring up indescribable emotions within her. Lu Changxing noticed the murderous intent in Nangong Meili's eyes and raised an eyebrow. He hadn't expected Nangong Meili to dare harbor thoughts of killing him. It seemed the effect of the Lockhart goo was a bit lacking. He immediately slapped her again, making her recognize the situation. Smack! The snowy and rosy grinding stone surface immediately raised layer upon layer of waves. Through the information about the previous Demon Path incident in Jiuxiao Immortal City and chatting with Meng Xiaochan, Lu Changxing had gained some understanding of Nangong Meili's temperament. He knew that although she appeared unrestrained and seductively charming, she was actually cold-hearted and ruthless on the inside. Aside from Meng Xiaochan, who had gained her close affection and was willing to commit for her, she was heartlessly indifferent to everyone else. During the initial Jiuxiao Immortal City incident, a nascent soul immortal had died trying to save her, and she didn't even blink an eye. So, in this case, even though he was helping her heal out of a healer's compassionate heart, she was not likely to be grateful and repay the kindness. Since kind assistance hadn't worked, he decided to change his approach. After all, the Lockhart goo was in effect. Once the bonds of affection were completely locked in place, he could then break into her inner heart and melt the ice in her heart, taking her home to be the mother of his children without haste. Of course, Lu Changxing couldn't deny that Nangong Meili's enchanting sensuality and pitiful face, coupled with her dominating and lofty regality, truly incited a desire to severely ravish her, so he couldn't control himself for a moment. Nangong Meili's black hair was disheveled, her rosy cheeks icy, and her narrow phoenix eyes revealed a determined and merciless look. She said coldly, "Scoundrel, you humiliate me so. Do you believe I will fight you to the death?" "Fight to the death? Who are you trying to scare?" Lu Changxing scoffed upon hearing this. He knew very well that Nangong Meili was extremely weak at the moment, her true elixir dim. She couldn't even self-destruct if she wanted to. Saying that, he reached out and gave her full snowy peaks a squeeze, making her acknowledge the current situation. But he didn't go too far. After all, Meng Xiaochan was still there. She was, in a way, the future mother of his child. He didn't want to truly drive her into a corner and anger her. "Master, Lu Lang, please don't fight." Meng Xiaochan saw that as soon as her master woke up, she began arguing with her lover. Immediately, she bit her lip and stepped forward to hold Nangong Meili's soft and powerless hand, saying softly, "Master, it's all Xiaoaken's fault. Please don't blame Lu Lang. Xiaochan, I'm fine." Nangong Meili, seeing her disciple like this, misty-eyed and harboring murderous intent, gently closed her eyes, resigned and sighed. She knew that anger was pointless given her current circumstances. It was better to wait until her strength was restored and then think of a way. Otherwise, continuing to make a fuss would only make things worse for herself. Immediately, she used the little strength she had regained to cover her pale and seductive lips. Refusing to make a sound, she lay there like a dead person, allowing Lu Changxing to do as he pleased. The night deepened. Pop! Lu Changxing released Nangong Meili, limp in his arms and her snowy peaks already flushed red like the dawn, and called out to Meng Xiaochan, "Xiaochan. Master, how do you feel now?" Meng Xiaochan immediately came forward to support her master. Nangong Meili's eyebrows were tightly furrowed, her entire body ached, and her stunningly enchanting face was full of shame and rage. But in the face of her disciple's concern and care, she slightly relaxed her brow and, with a slightly hoarse voice, said, "Xiaochan, I'm fine." As she spoke, she tried to stand up, only to draw in a sharp breath due to a sharp pain in her private parts. The pain made her narrow phoenix eyes flash with anger. She was painfully aware that this was not the first time she had been humiliated and trampled upon by Lu Changxing. In the time she had been unconscious, she had already been played with and trampled upon by Lu Changxing in every possible way. Her profound jade liquid had also been taken away by this scoundrel. I, Nangong Meili, swear I will kill him. I'll flay him alive, making him suffer the agony of 1,000 poisons consuming his heart. Nangong Meili swore in her heart. Her beautiful eyes involuntarily glanced at Lu Changxing. That look made her heart tremble. Again, she felt an indescribable sensation in her heart. Why has the bond of affection increased so much today? Lu Changxing felt Nangong Meili's gaze in an instant. Somehow, he sensed that the bond of affection between Nangong Meili and himself had inexplicably tightened a bit. Could it be that because she had been in a coma before, the Lockhart goo wasn't very effective? Lu Changxing considered as he looked at the cold and enchanting Nangong Meili, with her piercing phoenix eyes. Meng Xiaochan and Ling Zixiao had both told him about the general effects of the Lockhart goo. If the person it bound was too far from the goo master, the effect would be minimized. Only if the two were constantly together would the effect of the Lockhart goo be maximized. But whether being in a comatose state would affect the effectiveness of the Lockhart goo, he wasn't quite sure. What are you looking at? Nangong Meili, seeing Lu Changxing still looking at her, became angry, her pale and enchanting face utterly cold. But her voice was weak and powerless, even slightly husky and charming, truly lacking any deterrence. It even made Lu Changxing want to ravage her again. Master, Meng Xiaochan immediately hugged her master. Chapter 532, How is there an extra child? Then, he turned to Lu Changxing with an apologetic face and said, Lu Lang, you've worked hard, please rest well now. Lu Changxing did not make things difficult for Meng Xiaochan and smiled gently, walking over to where Ling Zixiao was. Seeing Lu Changxing walk away, Nangong Meili asked Meng Xiaochan through a voice transmission what exactly was going on. Meng Xiaochan, facing her master's question, claimed that Lu Changxing was her Dao companion. It was only because she had gone to Jiang country that the two had separated. After using the teleportation talisman, she encountered danger, and it was Lu Changxing who saved her. At that time, Nangong Meili's situation was extremely dangerous, and her life was hanging by a thread. She had no other option but to ask Lu Changxing for help. But Lu Changxing was just a foundation establishment cultivator. The only way to save someone was through dual cultivation using a secret technique. Faced with such a situation, it was only out of helplessness that she had let Lu Changxing do such a thing to her master. She hoped that Nangong Meili would not blame Lu Changxing. Master, I'm sorry, Xiaochan has deceived you. After Meng Xiaochan finished speaking, a surge of guilt washed over her heart. The reason she fabricated such a lie and didn't tell the truth about the Lockhart goo was that she knew her master's personality. Once the matter of the Lockhart goo was told, her master would be on guard and might be able to break free while the Lockhart goo was weak and the emotional ties were not yet formed. If by then her master wanted to kill Lu Changxing, he would be in danger. It's all right, Xiaochan, your master doesn't blame you, you've had a hard time these days. Nangong Meili sighed slightly. As a nascent soul immortal and demonic path cultivator, she was not the kind of person to cling stubbornly to chastity and forsake life. But waking up to find herself manipulated and humiliated in such a manner was difficult for her to accept calmly. Now, after hearing Meng Xiaocan's explanation and understanding the causes and consequences, she knew that the situation must have been extremely dangerous. Meng Xiaochan had no choice but to resort to this strategy. At least, through the recent humiliation, she felt that Lu Changxing was truly sincere in healing her, improving her condition somewhat. If the healing continued like this daily, her injuries could recover by 60 to 70% in a few months. But to heal like this every day, would she not fall apart? No, even if he were made of iron, he couldn't keep healing her like this, could he? Wait, what am I even thinking about? Nangong Meili gently closed her phoenix eyes, casting aside the distracting thoughts in her mind. After a brief chat with Meng Xiaochan and understanding her current situation, Nangong Meili took out spiritual medicine from her storage ring and ingested it. She began to meditate and heal herself. Now that she was awake, she naturally could heal herself and didn't need to rely entirely on Lu Changxing. Elsewhere, Lu Lang, now that this nascent soul immortal has woken up, it's not troublesome, is it? Ling Zixiao asked Lu Changxing through a voice transmission after seeing Nangong Meili start to meditate and recuperate. Even though they had the Lockhart Gu, she was still somewhat concerned about Nangong Meili's condition. After all, this was a nascent soul immortal, imposing and unattainable on ordinary days. Even if she was in a weakened state now, she should not be underestimated. What you said makes sense. Lu Changxing, hearing this, thought it made a lot of sense. Through the Lockhart Gu, he could roughly sense that the emotional bond between him and Nangong Meili was still very weak. Nowhere near as strong as the relationship between Meng Xiaochan and himself. Whether this thread of emotion could restrain Nangong Meili was truly uncertain. After all, Nangong Meili had already harbored the intention to kill him. Right away, he stood up and came in front of Nangong Meili. "What are you going to do?" Dressed in a purple gauze skirt and with a graceful figure, the meditating Nangong Meili's heart jumped when she heard Lu Changxing approaching, and her eyes flew open with a frigid expression, saying coldly, "I promised Xiaochan that I would heal you. However, just to be safe, you need to establish a heart demon oath and sign a spiritual contract, ensuring that you will be honest during this time and not harbor any malice against me," Lu Changxing said with a faint smirk, looking at Nangong Meili's fierce facade. "Scoundrel, who asked you to heal me?" Upon hearing this, Nangong Meili's immediate recollection of the previous humiliation, when she was toyed with by Lu Changxing, ignited her anger, and her eyes blazed with killing intent. During her meditation just now, she could still feel soreness all over her body, a dull pain in her lower body, making it difficult to calm her heart. "Master," seeing this, Meng Xiaochan immediately stopped her master's arm and called out. Nangong Meili really wanted to act at this moment. She might be very weak, but she still had a few life-saving items. But Meng Xiaochan was still there. Lu Changxing, after all, was her disciple's Dao companion. If she had a deadly confrontation with him, the most heartbroken and distressed would be Meng Xiaochan. Moreover, without her, it would be very difficult for Meng Xiaochan to escape the pursuit of the Heavenly Sword sect, leave Jiang country, and return to the Five Poisons cult. It would be a matter of life and death. "Who?" Nangong Meili took a couple of deep breaths, her face cold as frost, and made the heart demon oath. She swore that in the coming time, she would not take action against or harbor ill intent towards Lu Changxing. Good, and now this spiritual contract. Seeing this, Lu Changxing took out the spiritual contract. "You bastard, don't push too far." The murderous look in Nangong Meili's eyes almost became palpable. She had already taken the heart demon oath, yet Lu Changxing was still asking her to sign a spiritual contract. To her, this was nothing but naked humiliation. "Lu Lang, don't worry, the master will definitely not harm you." Meng Xiaochan looked up at Lu Changxing, her eyes full of a pleading tone, speaking in a low and humble voice. Nangong Meili had already agreed not to take action against Lu Changxing. Now that she had made the heart demon oath, Meng Xiaochan also believed her master truly would not act against Lu Changxing. Chapter 533. How is there an extra child? Fine. Lu Changxing, upon hearing Meng Xiaocan's words, did not insist. He felt that having this heart demon oath was adequate. Moreover, his spiritual contract was only of the second rank. To Nangong Meili, the nascent soul immortal, it might not even be useful. As long as Nangong Meili restored her cultivation level, she would have nothing to fear from such a spiritual contract. In the days that followed, Lu Changxing provided daily healing to Nangong Meili, and on occasion, to Ling Zixiao as well. Nangong Meili was naturally very reluctant to receive such healing, but faced with Meng Xiaocan's earnest persuasions and considering that both her disciple and she were still facing the manhunt from the Heavenly Sword sect, she had no choice but to comply helplessly, thinking of recovering as soon as possible and then leaving quickly. However, to maintain the last vestiges of dignity and pride deep in her heart, Nangong Meili always had her beautiful eyes tightly shut, almost as a dead person would, allowing Lu Changxing to do as he wished. Seeing Nangong Mili's attitude, Lu Changxing naturally would not coax her nicely and instead would relentlessly tease her. After all, her appearance, her personality, as well as her status as a nascent soul immortal, involuntarily stirred different thoughts in his heart. Thoughts like conquest, domination, training. Thus, every time during their dual cultivation, seeing Nangong Mili's breathtakingly beautiful and seductive face flush with crimson, holding back with all her might, with her snow-white teeth firmly biting her lips, and upon his teasing, occasionally letting out soul-stirring, light moans, Lu Changxing felt extremely accomplished. Moreover, Lu Changxing discovered that when he teased Nangong Mili, causing her emotions to fluctuate greatly, the connection between their Lockhart Gu became noticeably tighter. However, despite the teasing, he did not delay the healing process. He too thought of resolving Nangong Mili's situation as soon as possible and then heading home earlier. The night was like water, the moonlight like mist. After ending the dual cultivation healing session, Nangong Mili, with a coldly beautiful face, stepped into the spirit pool to cleanse her snow-white, jade-like skin. As a nascent soul immortal, having regained some mana, her body would be devoid of dust. But after every dual cultivation session, she would come to the spirit pool to scrub her body, which was as white as sheep-fat jade. As if through this method, she wanted to wash away the skin-to-skin blending and the shame, humiliation, and resentment in her heart. Nangong Mili gently scrubbed her snow-white skin, feeling a bit of lingering pain in her private area. Damned bastard! Her brows furrowed, and a flash of anger appeared in her narrow, clear phoenix eyes. As a nascent soul immortal, even without having undergone body refinement, her physical body was extraordinary. But that bastard deliberately lashed out at her with great force, as if he wanted to trample her to death, making it so that even her core formation stage body could hardly bear such lashing, causing her private area to always have a faint, lingering pain. She slightly raised her phoenix eyes, looking towards the shore at Lu Changxing, who was meditating with closed eyes, handsome in appearance and distinguished in demeanor. Her heart trembled, and her seductive face was filled with shame and anger. Nangong Mili swore she would return all the pain he had inflicted upon her, doubled. Just then, Nangong Mili's brows furrowed slightly. A rare seriousness appeared on her seductive and coldly beautiful face. Her palm, in the warm spring water, gently caressed her lower abdomen. In her narrow phoenix eyes, surprise, doubt, anger, shame, and disgust surfaced. What's going on here? How did a child come into the picture? That day, after ending the dual cultivation, Lu Changxing boredly scanned his system panel. But when he looked at the offspring section of his system panel, he was completely stunned. Offspring, 153/154, the number of offspring indicated that he had one more unborn child. Where did this unborn child of mine come from? Could it be? Lu Changxing pondered in suspicion, his gaze shifting toward Nangong Mili and Ling Zixiao. During this period he had only been intimate with the two of them. Therefore, the child could only belong to one of the two women. But dual cultivation usually doesn't lead to pregnancy. Lu Changxing's brow furrowed slightly. Logically speaking, the process of dual cultivation, where yin and yang converge, hardly ever results in pregnancy. Yet the system had notified him, and it definitely couldn't be false. Is it Nangong Mili or Ling Zixiao? Lu Changxing mused internally, feeling that the likelihood of Nangong Mili being pregnant was greater, because during this time, he had been dual cultivating with Nangong Mili every day, during which it seems he had teased her, deliberately stopping the dual cultivation. Moreover, due to physical reasons, Ling Zixiao was extremely weak, making it difficult for her to conceive. You dog of a man, what are you staring at? In the spirit pool, Nangong Mili, who was cleansing her voluptuous body, saw Lu Changxing staring blankly at her and lashed out with a majestic and enchanting face as cold as frost. She had never had a good attitude toward Lu Changxing. Especially after regaining some of her strength, she had always been cold and harsh toward him. Faced with this, Lu Changxing naturally didn't coddle her and always retorted tit for tat. Sometimes, Lu Changxing even wondered if Nangong Meili was deliberately provoking him, so that he would. However, this time, faced with Nangong Meili's scolding, Lu Changxing didn't retort coldly as usual. Instead, his gaze was gentle, and he offered a mild smile. Although in Nangong Meili's heart he was detested and she wished she could tear him apart limb from limb, his handsome face and his smile, as soothing as a spring breeze, were like magnets that irresistibly drew her gaze and made her heart flutter involuntarily. Nangong Meili snorted coldly and, without looking at Lu Changxing's face, closed her eyes as she washed her flawless, exquisite body. Ling Zixiao, standing nearby, watched the scene with a smile. There's a saying that goes, the player is blind, but the spectator sees clearly. As a spectator, she could clearly sense that Nangong Meili's attitude towards Lu Changxing had changed significantly from the beginning. These changes might have gone unnoticed by Lu Changxing, but Ling Zixiao saw them all clearly. She knew the effects of the Lockhart Gu were showing. However, in Ling Zixiao's eyes, apart from the Lockhart Gu, Lu Changxing's appearance and temperament played a significant role. This handsome face and extraordinary demeanor were very attractive. Not to mention anyone else, she herself was definitely one of them. If she had encountered Lu Changxing looking ugly or mediocre when they first met, she would have never agreed to his method for resolving the dragon roar physique. She would likely have hesitated for a long time, then traded a secret technique or attempted other methods. It's unimaginable that she would have agreed so decisively and become intimate with Lu Changxing that very day. Ling Zixiao raised her arm, propped up her cheek, and quietly observed Lu Changxing's peerless face. She thought that for someone like Lu Changxing, attracting romantic attention was simply a matter of course. After all, in this world, all things have their beauty and ugliness. Most people love beauty and pursue it. Cultivators are no exception. How many cultivators have forsaken high-grade cultivation methods in favor of techniques that beautify and maintain their appearance? Or even when their resources were sparse, they still spent a considerable number of spirit stones on purchasing spirit pills for beauty and youth. What are you looking at? Lu Changxing, seeing that Ling Zixiao kept staring at him, chuckled lightly and approached to wrap his arms around her, wanting to see if she might be pregnant. Even though he guessed that Nangong Meili was the more likely one, it was also possible that Ling Zixiao was the one who was pregnant. Chapter 534. Lang Jun is so handsome, naturally I can never get enough of looking at you. Ling Zixiao nestled into Lu Changxing's arms very naturally, smiling faintly as she spoke. I find that the same is true for Zixiao. Lu Changxing heard this and chuckled softly. He then used his mana to warm and nourish Ling Zixiao's body and meridians, checking the condition of her body. Facing Lu Changxing's examination, Ling Zixiao didn't mind. Her full yet pallid face gently rested against Lu Changxing's chest, her body and mind relaxing, allowing him to check her over. Because her body had always been in a weak state, she couldn't help but feel insecure. During her intimate moments with Lu Changxing, not only did she feel as comfortable as if bathed in the spring breeze, but she also felt a profound sense of security, utterly tranquil and peaceful. It seems that the child truly is Nangong Meili's. Lu Changxing had checked Ling Zixiao's body thoroughly but hadn't detected any signs of the new life being nurtured. His brow furrowed slightly, his thoughts complicated as he looked towards Nangong Meili in the spiritual pool. Being able to get such a nascent soul immortal pregnant, to bear his child, was naturally a surprise to him. After all, it's very difficult for cultivators of that level to have children. Once pregnant, the spiritual root talent of the child would surely be extraordinary. But given Nangong Meili's temperamental nature, whether she would want the child was uncertain to him. Moreover, taking Nangong Meili home now would be quite troublesome. The Lockhart Gu only had a certain effect on Nangong Meili. It hadn't reached the extent it had with Meng Xiaochan. So, taking Nangong Meili home was not realistic. The likelihood that she would willingly go back with him was slim. Unless he used forceful methods. But now that she was to be the mother of his child, how could he possibly use forceful tactics to commit such coercive actions? Moreover, once Nangong Meili was home and her injuries and strength recovered, he really had no way to restrain such a nascent soul immortal. By then, it wouldn't be certain who held the say in his household. If the nascent soul Immortal felt displeased and set out to do something, he would be unable to stop her. Also, Nangong Mili's identity posed a big problem. She was the Heaven Spider emissary of the Five Poisons cult, one of the 3 great demon sects of Jin Kingdom. He didn't have any prejudices or discrimination against demonic path cultivators. As long as she became the mother of his child, let alone the demon path, even if she were of the demon race, he would treat her no differently and still happily take her home. But the problem was, Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaochan were currently being hunted and pursued by the Heavenly Sword sect. Should her identity become exposed and tracked down, his entire family would face danger. Sigh. Lu Changsheng let out a soft sigh within his heart. Looking at Nangong Mili in the spiritual pool, his heart was filled with complexity. He didn't know how to handle Nangong Mili's situation. If he didn't take her home, he felt uneasy. Nangong Mili, bathing in the spiritual pool, keenly sensed Lu Changsheng looking at her. She turned her head and met his gaze. His look gave her chills down her spine and nearly made her skin crawl. Immediately, she snorted coldly, raised her slender hands lightly, and sacred light spread around her, as she donned a purple dress and walked on her gleaming feet back to the shore to sit in meditation and heal her injuries. When she closed her eyes, however, the image of Lu Changsheng's gaze and smile from earlier appeared in her mind. The chill in her heart was accompanied by an inexplicable favorable impression of Lu Changsheng, rousing indescribable feelings deep within her. Am I actually finding this damn man appealing? Nangong Mili frowned slightly, feeling as if she had lost her mind. To think she'd find this despicable man inexplicably agreeable. Thinking of the humiliations Lu Changsheng had inflicted upon her these past days, her pale and enchanting face showed a trace of a cold and secluded frostiness. Suppressing the odd sensation inside her, she cursed the damned man inwardly. One day she, Nangong Mili, would pay back every humiliation, every trampling, 100-fold. Lu Lang, what's wrong? Ling Zixiao, snuggling against Lu Changsheng, sensed his change in mood and softly inquired. It's nothing, just suddenly feeling homesick. Lu Changsheng placed his chin gently on Ling Zixiao's silky hair and spoke softly. Originally, when he set out, he and Lu Miaoga and others had agreed his trip would last at most a year. But time was delayed in Jiuxiao Immortal City because of the Li sisters and Ling Zixiao's matters. And now, time was further delayed due to Nangong Mili and Meng Xiaocan's affairs. In a few more days, this journey would reach a year. The Qingyun region has been troubled by events related to the demon path, no longer as peaceful as before. Having not gone back for so long, Sister Miaoga and the others must be worried. Lu Changsheng sighed inwardly, longing to return home soon. He also thought of Qingyun sect's conquest over the Xiahou clan, which led to the destruction of many Foundation establishment families. Now that he had Ling Zixiao, the array master, he felt ready for everything, just missing the final element. Once back, he could find a suitable location for a second-rank spiritual land and establish his own family, providing his children with a much better environment for growth. Continue reading at Empire the next day. Lu Changsheng, as usual, engaged in dual cultivation with Nangong Mili to heal their injuries. Now that he knew Nangong Mili was pregnant, he naturally couldn't play around with her as vigorously as before. His actions were extremely gentle, afraid of hurting her or the child. During the process, Lu Changsheng took the opportunity to check Nangong Mili for signs of pregnancy. But to his bewilderment, he couldn't sense any life aura of a fetus being nurtured within Nangong Mili. What's going on? Lu Changsheng was baffled. How come there was no child in Ling Zixiao's belly, and none in Nangong Mili's either? Could it be that the child was gone? Search * The Oval Fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 535. Scumbag, Get Lost. Lu Changsheng's mental spirit stirred slightly as he checked the system interface. Offspring, 153/154, It's still there. Lu Changsheng looked at the offspring section of the system interface. Could it be that she has only recently conceived and the life essence hasn't yet started to flourish? No, that's not right. If the system has displayed it, she must be pregnant. Could it be she's hidden it? Lu Changsheng silently guessed in his heart whether Nangong Mili had concealed the aura of her pregnancy. After all, as a nascent soul immortal, once she became pregnant, she would undoubtedly notice it immediately. It's impossible for a nascent soul immortal to be unaware of her own pregnancy. Wait a minute, if she didn't immediately get rid of the child after becoming pregnant, does that mean she's willing to give birth to this child? Lu Changsheng's heart paused as he suddenly thought. Given Nangong Mili's character, if she didn't want the child, she would probably reject it as soon as she noticed. But I saw through the system yesterday that there was one more child. Now that the child is still there, which means it hasn't been aborted, Nangong Mili doesn't seem to want to get rid of it for the time being. If Nangong Mili is planning to keep this child, considering her personality, she wouldn't want others to know, especially not me. This also seems to make sense. With this thought, Lu Changsheng felt that things must be as he surmised. After all, Ling Zixiao would definitely not conceal such a matter from him, and it would be difficult to hide from his divine sense. But as a nascent soul immortal, now somewhat recovered, Nangong Mili should find it not too difficult to hide the child in her womb from him. At this moment, Nangong Mili was also very bewildered and confused. What happened to Lu Changsheng today? Why has he suddenly changed his behavior? Every move he made was so tender it was uncharacteristic. Even his gaze upon her was filled with a gentle warmth, affectionate and loving, which sent chills down her spine and made her skin crawl. She couldn't help but remember the way Lu Changsheng looked at her last night, that gaze. It seemed that from that moment, the way he looked at her was somewhat off. What's going on? Could it be he knows? Nangong Mili was puzzled and faintly guessed. But she felt it was unlikely. After all, as soon as this child showed signs of life, she concealed its aura immediately. How could Lu Changsheng have possibly sensed it? If he really knows... At this moment, a few traces of irritability surged within Nangong Mili. Upon sensing the pregnancy, her first thought was to abort. Her disdain for Lu Changsheng was profound. How could she wish to have his offspring? But after much inner turmoil, she ultimately decided to have the child. One reason was the instinctive stir within her upon becoming a mother for the first time, a heart moved by compassion. Additionally, she grew up lonely, adopted from a young age by her master, who raised her as his own daughter. After her master passed away, she felt an aching solitude and missed those bygone days deeply. She wished to raise a daughter herself, like her master did for her. But her aversion to men was so intense. She naturally had no desire to seek someone out for the purpose of having a child. As for adopting a child, that depended on circumstances and was not something that could be forced. Therefore, upon meeting Meng Xiaochan and learning she was a descendant of her master, she took Meng Xiaochan as a disciple, treating her as her master once treated her. This was why she, usually cold and unfeeling, was willing to make such sacrifice for Meng Xiaochan. Now, an unexpected child has brought her a sense of fulfillment. Therefore, after much contemplation, she decided to keep the child. But she definitely didn't want Lu Changsheng to know about this child. After all, this was her child, Nangong Mili's child. What did it have to do with that dog of a man, Lu Changsheng? To prevent Lu Changsheng from learning about the child, and to protect the child from any harm that the dog of a man, Lu Changsheng, might cause, she hid the child's signs of vitality and guarded it from the moment she became aware of the pregnancy. This would ensure that Lu Changsheng remained unaware of the child's existence. But now, Lu Changsheng's sudden change of behavior left her at a loss. She had the vague feeling that Lu Changsheng knew about the child, which could explain his dramatic transformation. This made her very restless. It even brought on the thought of not wanting the child anymore. Lu Changsheng tenderly healed Nangong Mili's wounds with his actions. He had harbored some ulterior motives towards Nangong Mili before, so he had never been considerate of her feelings. But now that she was the mother of his child, his attitude naturally changed. Thinking back on his past actions, Lu Changsheng felt quite ashamed. He thought to himself that as a man, why should he behave so pettily with her? He knew that during pregnancy, a woman's emotions can be quite unstable. If he annoyed her and she took her frustrations out on the child, that would be terrible. Looking at the blushing, enchanting face of Nangong Meili, Lu Changxing said tenderly, "Meili, I have an origin source that can nurture the true elixir. It might help you recover sooner." As he spoke, Lu Changxing wrapped his arms around her slender waist and transferred the yin-yang energies into Nangong Meili's body. His yin-yang energies had long since recovered. But Nangong Meili, on guard against him, was reluctant to open her Qi Ocean core. Therefore, he could not use the yin-yang energies to nurture her true elixir. Additionally, Lu Changxing himself felt that the ability of the yin-yang energies to nurture the true elixir was astonishing. He was temporarily unwilling to reveal this to Nangong Meili. Of course, he also harbored the thought of not wanting Nangong Meili to recover too quickly. Chapter 536, Scoundrel, Get Lost. After all, he had speculated that Nangong Meili's early awakening was related to him nourishing her nurturing elixir with the yin-yang energies. If she recovered too quickly, it might affect the effectiveness of the Lockhart Gu. Now that she had become the mother of his child, Lu Changxing naturally had to put on a good show and gain her approval. He also wanted Nangong Meili to recover sooner. Otherwise, having injuries all the time wouldn't be good for the child in her belly. Shwa! Nangong Meili's cheeks were flushed like sunset clouds, her beautiful eyes tightly shut, allowing Lu Changxing to do as he pleased. But at that moment, under Lu Changxing's gentle call of Meili, her jade-like face slightly stiffened, and her heart trembled. Lu Changxing calling her name so tenderly made her, seemingly lost in the clouds, look somewhat bewildered. How many years had it been? Apart from her master who always called her little Meili, no one else had addressed her with such intimacy ever since. Of course, bootlickers don't count. Now, being softly called by Lu Changxing in such a tender voice, she felt incredibly close to Lu Changxing in her bewilderment. "You dog of a man, don't call me like that." Nangong Meili quickly suppressed her tumultuous thoughts, opened her hazy beautiful eyes, her cheeks reddened with embarrassment and anger, and she said angrily, "All right, all right, all right." Lu Changxing wasn't annoyed. He knew the Lockhart Gu was already having a certain effect on Nangong Meili. He just needed to maintain the right level, progress gradually, and naturally he would be able to melt Nangong Meili's heart. After speaking, he looked at Nangong Meili's beautifully angry cheeks, leaned in close, and captured her tender and dewy lips. Nangong Meili, with her lips captured by Lu Changxing, had a bewildered look in her eyes, a difficult-to-suppress throbbing arising in her heart. As the invasion to her mouth startled her, Nangong Meili suddenly reacted, immediately struggling to push Lu Changxing away, her eyes filled with resentment as she angrily said, "You dog of a man, don't touch me. Get out once the dual cultivation is done." All right, I've just transferred in the origin source and am a bit weak. Meili, you go ahead and refine this origin source first. Lu Changxing quietly held Nangong Meili's graceful body in his arms, whispered in her ear on the side of her cheek. This voice full of doting tenderness, the intimate address, and his hot breath in her sensitive ear made her whole body go limp, her body trembling uncontrollably, her heart throbbing, with an indescribable meaning. Feeling the burning warmth of the man's body temperature tight against her skin, Nangong Meili even felt that she and Lu Changxing were as close as a couple deep in love. Her gorgeous cheeks were cold and taut, her eyes flashing with embarrassment and anger, wanting to continue to berate Lu Changxing, to tell him to go away. But the next moment, the yin-yang energies swam towards her Qi Ocean core like little fish. She could sense that these little yin-yang fish were very mysterious, as if they were implicitly in accordance with some natural law of the universe. Nangong Meili was astonished, not expecting Lu Changxing to actually offer her such an origin source for healing. With a slight throbbing in her heart, she opened up her Qi Ocean core, and saw that as soon as the yin-yang energies entered the Qi Ocean core, they began to circle around her true elixir. Strands of mysterious Tao rhythm spilled, slowly nurturing her true elixir. Nangong Meili quietly experienced the Tao rhythm within. But this Tao rhythm was very mysterious. Even she could not comprehend it all at once. She only knew that this yin-yang origin source was obviously beneficial to her true elixir. In her heart, she was even more amazed that Lu Changxing would gift her such an origin source to nurture her true elixir. For a long time, the yin-yang energies were completely consumed. Nangong Meili could clearly sense that her true elixir had significantly recovered. She estimated that she would need only 4 or 5 more sessions to recover 70 to 80% of her strength. But she knew that drawing upon such origin source would certainly consume a great deal of Lu Changsheng's energy. Thus, she felt embarrassed and couldn't bring herself to make such a request. Seeing that Lu Changxing was still holding her, and even beginning to get restless with his hands, Nangong Meili's face was covered with frost as she said coldly, "Now that we're done dual cultivating, get lost and stay away from me." "Let me hold you a little longer," Lu Changxing murmured softly. "Scumbag man, get the hell away from me." The chills in Nangong Meili's heart surged under Lu Changsheng's tone, and she felt goosebumps all over, almost unbearable. Mana surged through her body, and she pushed Lu Changxing away. Then, her body was enveloped in the glow of dawn, as she customarily entered the spiritual pool to cleanse her jade-like body. Damn it, it seems it's not going to be easy to conquer her. Lu Changxing stood up, dusted himself off, put on his clothes, and didn't seem to mind Nangong Meili's actions. He just took it as letting her vent her anger. After all, she hadn't hit him too hard. Not far away, Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan exchanged glances, confused. They didn't understand what was going on with Lu Changxing today. Was he on the wrong medication or what? Why had his temperament suddenly changed so drastically? They knew how Lu Changxing had treated Nangong Meili before. They had seen it all with their own eyes. But in the next moment, Ling Zixiao had a realization. She figured that Lu Changxing had deliberately been harsh to Nangong Meili before. Now that the Lockhart Gu was showing some effect, he had started with a gentle approach. She had to admit to herself that Lu Changsheng's gentle tactics were indeed hard to resist. Back when she was with Lu Changxing, his sweet talk had left her weak and her heart fluttering. In the spiritual pool, Nangong Meili's palm gently caressed her lower abdomen. The more she thought about it, the more irritable she felt that Lu Changxing was aware of her pregnancy. If this damned man kept pestering her because of the child, coming after the child every day, what would she do? This is Nangong Meili's child, what does it have to do with him? If he dares to disturb me and my child, I'll make sure he regrets it. Nangong Meili's slender eyebrows raised, her phoenix eyes shone with a cold brilliance. So what if Lu Changxing knew? Could he possibly disturb her and take away the child? The fact that she hadn't sought him out to trouble him and suppressed him in the goo pit was already an act of great kindness. Would he dare to fight with her over the child? However, thinking about Lu Changsheng's recent change of attitude, Nangong Meili felt that he wasn't so bad after all, at least he seemed quite responsible. Upon discovering the child, his demeanor had completely shifted 360 degrees. He was not an unfeeling person. But the next moment, Nangong Meili also remembered how Lu Changxing had previously humiliated and trampled on her. Now that there was a child, his attitude had changed. Wasn't she less important to him than a child? His recent gentleness towards her, was it all because of the child and not for her? Damned man. What am I thinking about? Who cares about his attitude towards me? Let him do whatever he wants. The humiliation he had inflicted on her before, even if he tries to ingratiate himself with her now, she won't let it go so easily. Nangong Meili's bewitching and radiant cheeks were cold as frost, her slender phoenix eyes filled with clarity. Chapter 537, Golden Core Charm, Departure. _1 In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed. During these days, Lu Changxing did a good deed every day, healing Nangong Meili's injuries. Through the system panel, seeing that the child was always there, he also set his mind at ease. He knew that this female demon head was willing to leave the child behind. This made him feel increasingly positive about Nangong Meili. However, Nangong Meili's attitude toward Lu Changxing remained cold and harsh, without a trace of warmth. She would often call him a dog of a man, telling him to beat it, sometimes even lashing out physically. Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan were both astounded that Lu Changxing could face such treatment without a hint of annoyance. Instead, he always had a warm and smiling face. This made them both somewhat doubt whether Lu Changxing had some particular fetish. On this day, the yin-yang energies of Lu Changxing's Dao Foundation had recovered. The speed of recovery for the yin-yang energies was related to his condition. In a place where the spiritual energy was thin, having to dual cultivate every day to heal, the recovery rate of the yin-yang energies was naturally much slower. But Nangong Mili's injuries were gradually healing, and her strength was returning. The dual cultivation was no longer one-sided healing. During the dual cultivation, Lu Changxing also gained many benefits. Moreover, because of the yin-yang energies, he swallowed and refined Nangong Mili's profound yin jade liquid. This made the effects of their dual cultivation very good. It was much better than when he cultivated with Lu Miaoge or Ling Zixiao. But it was still inferior to Xianxia. Lu Changxing guessed that this should be an additional effect of his Dao Foundation. Because the yin-yang energies merged with Nangong Mili's spiritual body origin, her profound yin charm body granted him an extra bonus. In the future, once Ling Zixiao's body has recovered, and he integrates more of the dragon roar origin, the effect would presumably be excellent. After the dual cultivation ended, Lu Changxing transferred the scorching hot yin-yang energies to Nangong Mili. Nangong Mili's beautiful eyes were tightly closed, her eyebrows slightly furrowed, as she channeled the yin-yang energies to nurture her true elixir. After the true elixir was nurtured by the yin-yang energies, Nangong Mili suddenly discovered that the surface of her true elixir was now marked with a hint of golden pattern. This bit of golden pattern was almost imperceptible, but as the owner, she was acutely aware of it. And she realized what it was. Golden core charm. Nangong Mili's radiant and enchanting face paused, her heart like tumultuous waves crashing within. The origin source Lu Changxing had transferred to her had actually nurtured a speck of golden core charm on her true elixir. Although it was just a speck, barely noticeable, if it continued like this, day after day, did it not mean that one day her fourth-grade true elixir might transform into a superior gold core? Superior gold core. Nangong Mili was incredibly shocked. She was able to attain a fourth-grade true elixir partly due to her profound yin charm body and also because she had rather good fortune. But now, her spiritual root and profound yin charm body were almost of no help in breaking through to the nascent soul stage. Without great fortune, even with a fourth-grade true elixir, progressing to nascent soul would be immensely difficult, nearly hopeless. Yet at this moment, this speck of golden core charm gave her hope of advancing to the nascent soul. If her true elixir could transform into a superior gold core, then she would have a 20 to 30% certainty of ascending to the nascent soul. Though a 20 to 30% chance might seem low, for advancing from core formation to nascent soul, this chance was already exceptionally high. Involuntarily, Nangong Mili glanced at Lu Changxing. She found that she was becoming increasingly pleased with what she saw in him. And she didn't even know when she had started no longer resisting the idea of dual cultivation and close contact with him. Could it be that I've fallen for this dog of a man? Nangong Mili's heart trembled lightly, her inner turmoil peaking, a wave of unprecedented panic flooding her. Although she admitted that Lu Changxing was exceedingly handsome and his temperament was ethereal, which she found quite satisfying, how could Nangong Mili, who was above such vulgarity, fall for someone like that? Moreover, in the past days, Lu Changxing had played with her in every way possible, humiliating and trampling upon her. She had wanted nothing more than to slash him thousands of times, to kill him and be done with it. How could she inexplicably start liking this dog of a man? Dog of a man, get lost from my sight. Seeing Lu Changxing looking at her with tender eyes, Nangong Mili's eyes, misty as smoke, flitted with a trace of panic. She instantly furrowed her brows, mana surged within her, and she pushed Lu Changxing away. But the icy and sharp tone carried a hint of softness and charm. Sigh, women. The moment the skirt is lifted, they turn their faces and become unrecognizable. Lu Changxing shook his head and sighed. He didn't take Nangong Mili's attitude to heart. After all, they had only been together for a little over a month. He didn't believe that, after everything that had happened, Nangong Mili would be hopelessly in love with him. If he had to be honest, were it not for the Lockhart Gu, Lu Chongqing felt that given Nangong Mili's character, she would have truly attacked him long ago, instead of merely cursing and scolding him as she did now. However, in his eyes, her attitude toward him had already improved a lot over time. At least her behavior toward him was no longer so resistant. In a moment of passion, she would even be somewhat cooperative. Nangong Mili, upon hearing Lu Chongqing speak in such a manner, glared at him with deadly intent in her eyes. Her entire being radiated the commanding aura of a nascent soul immortal. Only, her appearance was too enchanting and alluring, and at the moment, still flushed with the afterglow, she appeared not at all imposing in the eyes of Lu Chongqing. His only thought was to conquer, possess, ravage, dominate, and train her. Nevertheless, the profound and ocean-deep auras made Lu Chongqing feel weighed down, as if a great mountain were pressing down upon him. Is this the strength of a nascent soul immortal? Merely the aura is so domineering. Chapter 538, Golden Core Charm, Departure. Lu Chongqing was astonished by the terrifying strength of Nangong Mili. One must know her injuries have not yet fully healed, and her power is far from recovered. If it were her heyday, she probably wouldn't need to lift a finger. Just the imposing aura of her core formation would have been enough to suppress him. The difference in strength between foundation establishment and core formation is even greater than that between chi refinement and foundation establishment. No wonder the effect of the profound origin bead is enough to make a peak chi refinement cultivator comparable to foundation establishment, but it only makes a peak foundation establishment cultivator comparable to a false core. There is an insurmountable chasm between a false elixir and a true elixir. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath, ignored this aura, and returned to sit and chat with Ling Zixiao at one side. Ling Zixiao and Meng Xiaochan were already used to the dynamic between Lu Chongqing and Nangong Mili. After all, the two had been bickering non-stop for some time. However, Ling Zixiao still felt quite upset by the situation. She thought, "My lord performs dual cultivation to heal you, and you still put on such an attitude. Nascent Soul Immortal is really so great, huh?" But since Lu Chongqing didn't say anything, she couldn't say much either. Besides, Nangong Mili would not seriously hurt Lu Chongqing, but the same might not apply to her. Time ticked by bit. These days, Nangong Mili was becoming increasingly anxious in her heart. She felt she might truly have fallen for Lu Chongqing. It wasn't just that Lu Chongqing was becoming more and more pleasing to the eye. Deep down, she actually wanted to draw closer to him. When close to him, she felt a sense of peace and comfort like never before. She thought if she could keep this up, it would be quite nice. These inexplicable thoughts spread through her mind, making Nangong Mili extremely panicked. What's going on? Nangong Mili couldn't help but wonder if she had been affected by some bewitching technique or her mental spirit was influenced. Or if Lu Chongqing had used some technique on her during their dual cultivation. Otherwise, why would she feel like this? She was very clear about her own character. She was definitely not someone who fell for others so easily. Even if she were to take a fancy to someone, it couldn't possibly be like this. Night fell. This day, after the dual cultivation ended, Nangong Mili's mind was full of chaotic thoughts, and her restless heart couldn't calm down. She felt she had been deeply affected by Lu Chongqing. No, I can't go on like this. Nangong Mili took a deep breath, suppressing the complexity and turmoil of her emotions. She looked towards Meng Xiaochan at one side. She decided to take Meng Xiaochan and leave. She felt she could no longer be with Lu Chongqing. The inexplicable fondness and heart palpitations she felt towards Lu Chongqing filled her with immense fear. She, Nangong Mili, even if she were to like a man, wouldn't be so sentimental and lose herself for him. "Xiaochan, let's go." Nangong Mili transmitted her voice to Meng Xiaochan. "Ah, master, where to?" Meng Xiaochan opened her eyes wide in surprise upon hearing this. "Now that your master has recovered, we can prepare to leave," Nangong Mili declared. Today, Lu Changxing used the yin-yang energies to nurture her true elixir, which had allowed her strength to recover by about 3 or 4/10. Though she had only regained 3 or 4/10 of her strength, as long as she didn't encounter someone like Yun Jianfeng, a golden core true person, she still had a chance to escape. So much time had passed, and Yun Jianfeng couldn't possibly have stayed outside indefinitely. Once back at the border, people from the Five Poisons cult would surely come to her aid. Upon hearing these words, Meng Xiaoquan's teeth nibbled on her lips, her delicate face showing struggle. During this time, she had already made up her mind. She planned to stay by Lu Changsheng's side for the rest of her life. Otherwise, there was no way she could repay the immense favor Lu Changsheng had done in curing her master. But now, her master was planning to take her away. What's wrong? Nangong Meili saw Meng Xiaoquan looking troubled and furrowed her brows. Master, unable to repay the kindness Lu Lang has shown, Xiaoquan had made up her mind to stay by his side. Please grant this wish, Meng Xiaoquan said with her lips lightly bitten. What? Upon hearing this, Nangong Meili, seeing the state of her disciple, was filled with a surge of shock and anger, and even a hint of horror. There's a saying that no one knows a daughter better than her mother. Having spent so many years together in a relationship akin to mother and daughter, Nangong Meili knew her disciple's personality very well. Normally whimsical, but at her core, she had the heart of the demon path, showing disdain for men. Yet now, when she was planning to take her back, her disciple was expressing a desire to accompany Lu Changxing. What did this mean? Abandoning the Great Tao. It should be known that though this mission had ended in failure, no blame could be placed on her and her disciple. The main issue lay with the defeat of the Five Poisons cult and the Heavenly Corpse sect at the hands of Li Duanquan. As such, on the return trip, according to their contributions and merits, she could apply for the heart-eating goo for Meng Xiaoquan. With the heart-eating goo, Meng Xiaoquan's myriad poisons devouring heart technique could reach great success. There was hope for her core formation in the future. But at this moment, Meng Xiaoquan was giving up going back, ready to stay by Lu Changsheng's side. This left Nangong Meili feeling incredibly angry and horrified. Thinking about her own inexplicable emotions and affection for Lu Changxing, and now seeing her disciple's feelings for Lu Changxing even stronger than her own, as if bewitched. At this moment, Nangong Meili was almost certain something was wrong with her. Her narrow and captivating eyes turned towards Lu Changxing, a trace of murderous intent flickering within. She pondered whether to kill Lu Changxing to eliminate future troubles. Considering how she felt at the moment and Meng Xiaoquan's state, it was truly making her panic. But as soon as the thought arose, her heart started racing uncontrollably. The inner turmoil caused a faint pain, signaling she couldn't do it. Unbidden, memories of the past days, Lu Changsheng's tenderness, smiles, and affection, flooded her mind, dissipating her intent to kill. But the more she felt this way, the more panicked and horrified Nangong Meili became, knowing that something was seriously wrong with her.